This week on This Week in Google, Jeff Jarvis is here. Aunt Pruitt's here. Yes, I'm back in the chair. And our special guest, Joan Donovan, now professor of journalism and emerging media studies at Boston University. We'll find out what happened at Harvard. We'll talk about meme wars, Google and Taylor Swift. Who do you think won that battle? And a whole lot more. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 734, recorded Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. Anarchy in the Academy. This Week in Google is brought to you by our friends at IT Pro TV, now called ACI Learning. ACI's new cyber skills is training for everyone, not just the pros. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. Twit listeners will get at least 20% off and as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. Just complete the form, you'll get a proper quote based on the size of your team. And by Mileo. Mileo Photos is a smart and powerful system that lets you easily organize, edit, and manage years of important documents, photos, and videos in an offline library hosted on any device. And it's free. Visit mileo.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Hey, everybody. Sorry I missed you last week, but I am thrilled to be back. I'm going to miss you again next week, but for now, I'm here. I'm going to Green Bay next week, and then I'll stick around for a while. Aunt Pruitt's also here. Thank you, Aunt, for...
I hear you're quite excited to be in Green Bay for a football game.
Not only that, wearing a Green Bay jersey.
Say it with a straight face.
Poor Lisa. It hurts her a lot more than it hurts me. I just got to tell you. But no, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's for our son's 21st birthday. Yeah. He's unaccountably a Green Bay Packer fan. Someday I got to show you.
I'd like to see
his man cave.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Which is, I mean, it's like a 58-year-old guy's tribute to the Packers. He's got, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Y'all did something right, sir.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't understand where the Green Bay thing came from. Anyway, we're going to have fun out there.
That's
I can't wait. Good. Looking forward to meeting a lot of you. I can't tell you where. Lisa says you got to stop promoting.
We got to slow it down now.
There's too many people coming. All of the Midwest is converging on the Hitterlands Brewery on September 29th.
Wait a minute. Where?
Oh, that's Jeff Jarvis. Hello, JJ.
Hello.
I haven't talked to you since you announced your retirement. Can I still say the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation?
I'm still there through this term, and then I'm on leave, and then I become emeritus.
Oh, so I'll just add emeritus.
Until next fall.
The emeritus Leonard Tao
adds
Professor.
Another word to the title.
For Journalistic Innovation at the emeritus Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Yeah. No, it's great to see you. And, you know, I'm thrilled. For those who are just tuning in, like CJ, who said, where's Stacy? Stacy has abandoned her podcast career and her blog because she's now working for Consumer Reports in policy. Consumer Reports. We're so proud of her, and she'll come back, I'm sure, from time to time.
She will.
So proud of her doing that. So we have an empty seat, and what we've been doing, which is great. Last week, Kathy Gellis was on Fuego.
Oh, dude. I swear, Miss Gellis was on, and I thought I was in a Southern Baptist church. She was just sitting there.
She was preaching.
She was on it, man.
She's good, though.
So much fire.
If you're going to have anybody on the week the DOJ sues Google,
you
want to have a Supreme Court
Yeah.
advocate, and that's the great Kathy Gellis. Anyway, thank you, Kathy. I'm sorry I wasn't here for that. But we have somebody today we've been trying to get on ever since the shocking departure from Harvard University, from the Kennedy School, where she was an expert in disinformation, misinformation, and, of course, memes. Joan Donovan is in the house. Hi, Joan.
Yay.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, good to see y'all.
Author of Meme Wars and the soon-to-be published blockbuster, Why I Hate Harvard, or something. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the total will be, but you said that you're going to write a book about the experience.
Well, yeah, I'm going to write a book about the last several years of this field and all the wacky hijinks that have gone on. Some of which Jeff has been witness to, I think. It's been pretty crazy. But
big disinfo.
I'm probably going to call it Anarchy in the Academy.
I love it.
That's I got to have something mimetic.
It sounds like something Sartre might have written. That sounds good. You should immediately trademark that.
Okay.
It does seem to me that people like you, our friend at the Stanford Internet Observatory, and others in your field, I don't know if I should name too many names. I don't want to cast. I don't want to get them in trouble. Are under fire. There's politically people who are studying disinformation are a hot potato. You'd think you would be precious gold.
No. I'm more like the golden goose in many ways. It's a lucrative field until it's not when it comes to academic fundraising. And I think, there's a lot going on. There's these congressional inquiries into this field of research. Jim Jordan, has been leading these quote unquote weaponization of the federal government hearings. And they've subpoenaed several different researchers. Luckily, I haven't been one of them because I wasn't involved.
I would want to see that, Joan. I would want to see.
Oh, you should testify. You should show up. You should show up.
I mean,
that'd be so much fun to watch.
I'm not in the Twitter files because I, wasn't researching any singular platform, and it was very well known that my research would come out, almost daily. I'd be letting people know what we were seeing. And so, but that idea that civil society and academia partnering with a corporation should be something that's, exciting and fresh and moving our industries closer together. But unfortunately, when the government became the source of disinformation in many ways, they didn't like the accountability.
Is it because, I know we should mention that you're now at Boston University.
I am.
God bless
the journalism department.
You're teaching journalism.
They're great. I mean, they called me up right when they saw in the paper that I'd lost my job. And
they're so smart.
Oh, yeah. Well, to her credit, the Dean, D. Christina, did ask me how I was doing. And we had been friendly because she was new in town, and I met her right before the pandemic and did some stuff with her over the pandemic events and whatnot. And so she was checking in on me, but also I felt like Boston University was going to be the best place for me, given that I wanted to teach journalism students and I wanted to have PhD students. And there are great public policy schools here, particularly one at Tufts, the Fletcher School, and there's great work being done at Northeastern. And so it was only natural that I would stick in Boston and keep working where my friends and my family and my colleagues are.
You were at the Kennedy School researching online extremism, misinformation, disinformation, media manipulation. Will you get to do some of that research still?
Yep. The plan is to continue on several trajectories, really digging back into the meme wars work. Unfortunately, the book came out in 2022, and I did some of a book tour and some events, but I really didn't get to do what I really wanted to do with the project, which was make a compendium podcast that will hopefully the podcast will happen during the primaries and then as we get into the race, I just wanted to code internet culture for people. And so that's the kind of work that I want to be doing, is helping people understand, journalists, how to report on the internet, and then other folks that are, lurkers and looky-loos like I am, how to understand what you're seeing.
You think a podcast is a good venue for that? I
think probably TikTok videos as well, or shorts as well, to help with like the imagery, because memes are very visual. But there's going to be so much that happens in this election that you'll blink and you'll miss it, right? And so I think all the mediums are going to have to fire on all cylinders to even understand, 1/10 of what's happening historically.
How much are you worried about the emergence of large language models and AI in the fight against disinformation? Will that be a valuable tool? Will that make it even worse?
Well, interestingly, I wrote a paper with Britt Paris that I think came out in 2020. It was when I was at Data and Society, and we were getting supported by Jeff's News Integrity group and Craig Newmark, and Britt and I wrote this paper. She's at Rutgers now, called Cheap Fakes and Deepfakes, where we looked at audio video manipulations, and the state of the art at that time wasn't much different than where we are now, except that it hadn't been rolled out for consumers. And when you look at audio video manipulation and also these large language models, or generative AI as some people call it, we're dealing with a massive intrusion to what we used to call copyright and copyright laws. So, the way that data science tends to work is, if I can scrape your data, it's mine. And this is not an appropriate thing, because what we see all the time with these large language models is they're creating sentences, some of which that may have never been spoken before, but often it's chunks of things that were published elsewhere. And that has some serious issues related to, imposters and disregarding copyrights. But the one thing that I am worried about, and I think everybody should be, is just the way in which it's arriving in our phones and in our, it's going to be integrated into our email. It's going to be integrated into a lot of different technologies very rapidly. And we are going to be inclined to trust it because we assume there's someone driving the train, but there's not, right? Mm-hmm. And so the thing that I'm afraid of isn't just, people get misinformation or things that aren't true, or, you go to look up someone's bio and it'll give you fake awards that they won and things. And, these are all like minimally problematic issues. But I do think that if you match a large language model, like this is where we get into the election stuff. If you match a large language model with an SMS or a text messaging system, someone can think that they're texting with the campaign of, let's say, Trump, and they're getting information, and they think the information that they're getting is true, and they think they're talking to a real person, and they're just talking to a bot that's been, not just loaded with information, but is also responsive to individual queries. Now, where that could, be integrated into campaign technologies is one thing. But then I worry about just same things we worry about with robocallers and whatnot, is that the more responsive these systems are to individual queries, the easier it is to deploy imposters and to trick people. So if you think that you're talking to the campaign of, say, like Buttigieg or whoever, and it's really some kind of nefarious actor that's trying to plant information, they can do it on a massive scale for very low prices. And there's no real way for people to discern if they're the only ones that are seeing this, if other people are seeing it. It's not like advertising.
Yeah, that was the problem with the Facebook campaigns in 2016, is these were such small campaigns, no one would see them. You're not proposing, though, that copyright is one of the ways to defend against this, or are you?
It has to be. I mean, it exists for a reason, right? I mean, I'm a child of Napster. I was an early adopter. I was at Northeastern when Napster became a thing, and I was using the intranet there, and I still have all my MP3s, right?
All the authorities on her.
I know. Get Metallica.
Just to
get
defend
Metallica
you,
on the phone.
I have hundreds of gigabytes of Metallica songs I got from Napster. So go ahead.
I have no comment.
Yeah, exactly. If Lars wants to come for me, that's fine. But all I'm pointing out is that we are witnessing this major disruption to copyright, and there's no champions right now that are defending people's right to their own art. And things have changed at different scales where, in some instances, copyright is around to make sure the artist gets paid. In some instances, it's been bought up by, hedge funds or whatever. I'm thinking here of Taylor Swift, and copyright is a problem for some artists. It's by no means a perfect technology or a perfect policy, but we do know explicitly that DALL-E doesn't have the permission to have all the data that it has. And, that these technologies, the way that they're rolling out so quickly, the point is to get big fast so that any regulation or any claim to copyright cannot catch up. Right. And so we have to think about the tools we have now, policy wise, to get them to play by the rules.
I gotta get you on with Cory Doctorow at some point, who is in fact very explicit in saying copyright is not. He says copyright won't solve creators' generative AI problem, although it's not going to stop creators from trying. John Grisham now and George R.R. Martin have joined Sarah Silverman, Jodi Picoult, a whole bunch of authors who are suing.
Facebook is making these arguments
OpenAI
against that.
Yeah.
So, Joan, I'll dare to disagree with you, which is always a risky thing to do. I think that depending upon how the content is accessed, I think it's fair use, and I think it's transformative. And my worry is that if we tell the machine you can't read, that sets a precedent for the rest of us.
Yeah, it's the difference between reading and copying and distributing, right? And I was on a panel just yesterday with Amy Brand, who's the head of MIT Press, and she was saying that she's got at least 7 emails from major companies in the last few weeks, major AI companies, asking her to name the price for the entire corpus of MIT Press.
Oh, wow.
And that, and so there are, but she doesn't know as a publisher.
Right.
Well, she doesn't know as a publisher, does she even have that right?
Right.
Because it's not part of the original contracts with any of the authors.
Well, if you just, here's the question, Joan. If you just grab stuff off your Metallica, then you got a problem. But let's say you buy the copy of the book. You own the copy of the book. You require it legally, however means, libraries or otherwise. Once you have that, you have a right to read it. You have a right to make it a transformative acts. It's
You're making the claim, though, that machines have human rights.
I'm making the claim I know that's where my weakness is, but I am making the claim that there's a precedent set that should worry the rest of us in an age of copyright militancy. Now, my real argument, which in the Gutenberg parenthesis out now, is that I can't help it. Leo, I got to
plug.
Plug. I got
Oh, you got it right there,
right here in the Gutenberg parenthesis. Copyright was not created for authors and creators. It was created for booksellers and publishers.
That's Cory's point of view. Yeah,
a marketplace, to make creativity into a tradable asset. And I do think that it is outmoded in ways we have to discuss. And this is one of those contexts in which we have to discuss it. But I'm concerned about various precedents, especially when
I'd say this is the same situation. So my first position is copyright isn't going to solve it, but it's one of the tools in the toolkit that we have now.
One of the threats,
yeah. But I would go further, I think, to say that the way that copyright is being read by these computer scientists and these technologists is it's just disregarding what the actual law is. So I'm more of a realist in the sense that I'm like, well, if we have laws and we have policies, employ them. But I wonder who's being protected by this argument that, well, if data's out there, it should be able to be read and transformed, let's say, by machines, because they do call these things transformers. And in that process of transformation, the machine itself creates something new. But it's not like an homage or a parody. It's something else. It's mimicry. It's like a butterfly effect in a way. It's that mimicking of the pattern of the thing that is the problem. And so when you look at AI song making, for instance, and you can make a mashup between Drake and The Weeknd, it's not always clear in the distribution of that transformed item, one, that those artists didn't participate in that. Or also that these artists work very hard at their craft, and I don't know if the machine is doing anything other than mimicking.
If I write a book report, if I write a book report about a book I read and I don't work very hard at it, that doesn't make it any less a transformative act. I mean, hard work is not in the requirements for transformative. There is. I'll give you though a counterexample, and I'd love to hear what you all think of this because this supports Joan a little bit. Stephen Fry just told us that he was shocked to find out that AI took all of he was in the UK, he read all the Harry Potter books. So there's, I don't know, that must be hundreds of hours of Stephen Fry. Took it and narrated a documentary with his voice.
That's a different issue.
That's a really interesting
use of likeness and use of reputation and so on. He
says it's only a matter of time before there's audio of me endorsing, Donald Trump or something he disagrees with. It won't be long, he says, and this is just audio, until deep fake videos are just as convincing, which is probably the case.
That's where privacy law started, with a woman's image on a bag of flour.
Right.
And she didn't get permission for her image to be used. That's different from copyright.
So his voice is the equivalent of image. But how is that different from a writer's voice? How is that different from George R.R. Martin's voice?
That's a good thing that Joan's raising here. Is there a right to voice? But then what about cover bands?
Well, I consider this more of an issue of next generation identity theft, right? If someone steals your financial information and uses it, that is incredibly damaging for you. Here, you're talking about people who make a living off of their likeness, who do not want to be mimicked. And I think that means that they should be entitled to their own, voice and their own sound. And because when the technology started to come out, it was cute. It was Joe Rogan saying like his butt smells, and it was just dumb stuff. But now that it's here, you could ostensibly make entire TV shows with actors and actresses interacting, and they don't even need to be there.
It's funny you say it was cute, because I remember, I think it was like 2019, 2018, I was at Adobe Max, and every like the next to the last day of the event, they always do their sneak peek of new products to come. And they were talking about voice synthesis. I can't say it. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Synthesis. Just make it short. Synthesis. You don't have to say synthesization. No one could say
it. And the developer was up on the stage presenting it and whatnot, and they hit play, and it was former President Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Speaking in waveform. Right. And most of the time, when those events go off, the crowd is like, wow, so cool. But it got crazy silent.
People started thinking about the implications. But Joan, didn't this come up? I mean, you wrote Meme Wars. Isn't this come up with memes too? The issue of you're taking copyrighted images and turning them into memes? It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's supposed to be an element of
parody.
Parody there that is interesting, and
So far, the courts have. It seems like, I mean, we don't have a real decision, But for the most part, the courts seem to have treated this as transformative, that it is covered by fair use, much as a meme would be covered by fair use.
But yet, ironically, not covered by copyright. I mean, keep in mind that when copyright was created, newspapers weren't included, magazines were not included. Even when it arrived to newspapers, there was much debate as to whether or not it should include news articles because those weren't really creative.
Yeah, Corey said more copyright doesn't benefit individual creators. More copyright just it benefits the big corporations that end up holding the copyrights.
Right.
Well, let's also remember the fights about DVRs and VCRs.
Right.
Right. That oh my God, you're copying. How dare you? And then you couldn't get around it.
Jeff, we were just time shifting. We weren't copying.
Yes, exactly.
That was the argument.
That was
right?
the argument.
Instead
That's
of
right.
Against Betamax.
Yep.
I can tape my shows because I'm just time shifting them. Listen, I don't think anything legal is going to be a panacea. I think the thing that we have to face here is that you have an industry that does not believe it has to follow the laws as they're written. And it believes that it's entitled to anything that anybody puts online. And that's going to create a lot of problems, whether it's problems for large corporations that own a bunch of copyrights or for individual creators who do not want their stuff put into these models. Now, I often think about things like I'm a normal person, and I think about it and I'm like, would I want my entire Instagram account to be in some kind of database somewhere where I don't have control over deleting it or not deleting it? And the answer is no. But the reality is, yes. It's already done, right? And so I think sometimes we almost trick ourselves into believing that there's ownership of the digital and that ownership is possible. I'm thinking here, too, of all the great stories about Bitcoin fraud and how people were like, I thought I had the magic beans, and there was never anything there.
It might be encouraging that OpenAI has asked MIT for their corpus, that Google has proposed a robots.txt style way of blocking this kind of scraping. They're probably recognizing that, we can't just do what...
practically.
We can't move fast and break things, whether it's legal or not. We've got to kind of consider the blowback from this.
Think about what... Yeah, but I don't think those rules are intended for them because those groups already have massive amounts of data. I think that they're trying to block smaller innovators
pull up the ladder,
progressing. Exactly.
Regulatory capture.
And we've seen this before. And they don't want to interact with government
now pass
until
a law.
They're due.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we went through this with big data. You remember that? Ever heard of that thing? Big data.
Big data. Oh yeah. Whatever happened to that?
It's the only reason why AI can exist.
Right.
Is because we went through the phase of big data and nobody stopped them.
Joan, the other thing I've been thinking about is that I don't separate the internet, just what you just said. I don't separate the internet from AI. That AI couldn't exist without the connections that the internet creates. And I see it as a continuum.
That's kind of what she's saying. But maybe we should stop on each step of the way and consider the impact. It does seem like a natural progression. And by the way, at the other end of this natural progression is my DNA being cloned. Talking about right to likeness.
Who wants their own Leo?
Yeah, nobody. That's the good news. Jeff Jarvis is the author of the Gutenberg Parenthesis, but on credit where credit's due. We also have the wonderful Joan Donovan. And Joan, I think we found your book. I looked in the bookstore and I found Anarchy in the Academy, a memoir by
Joan. Oh my God!
Donovan,
somebody made it.
Spattered with blood.
Copyright.
And it's crimson. It's crimson blood. I might add.
Who did it?
That's Joe Esposito once again in our.
Oh my God! Somebody email me a copy of that.
I will make
please.
sure you get a copy of it,
I'm
Joe.
gonna make a poster of it.
Joe's a master. I
Joe,
think he may have actually done your cover art already. you may be stuck with that title.
I'm not worried about it. I'm here for it.
It's a good title. I like it. All right, we'll have more in just a little bit. It's not just, I love it that Joan's here so we can talk about these issues, but there's a lot of Google news this week. And there's a lot of Amazon news. This morning, Amazon had its event. And, of course, it's all sprinkled with AI everywhere.
A lot of AI news, tons of AI.
Tons of AI news. We'll get to it all.
Musk news in there, too.
Oh, Lord, there's more Musk all the time. Steve Gibson yesterday on our Security Now, after I took years to get him on Twitter, then I've been trying to get him off Twitter for years. And now he says, I'm getting off Twitter because Musk's going to charge.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell him. I doubt Musk will ever make good on that. That's just his way of getting more news cycles under his belt. But
it worked. And it worked. Everybody
gets it. Finally. Thank you.
It worked.
Don't, now that you're in journalism, fix this crap. Okay? I'm too old.
Well, it's really interesting. Is there a precedent? I mean, did Trump invent this? It certainly paid off for him to just kind of drive the news cycle consistently. Doesn't matter what you say, whether it's true or not, as long as you get in the news, I guess it's the old adage, right? There's no such thing as bad press.
Oh, that ain't right.
But boy, did he weaponize it. And Elon's just following right along with that. I wonder if there's a historic precedent for that.
Putin.
Father Coughlin.
It's Putin.
Putin. Yeah. Maybe Russia. Yep. That's Benito, our wonderful Benito Gonzalez, our wonderful TD, who is also a great, deep intellectual thinker.
Yes, he is.
That's why we gave him a microphone.
He is so sharp.
Putin. But before that, did Teddy Roosevelt manipulate the press? Well, William Randolph Hearst did, but
why did FDR decide to do fireside chats? Because he was having negative publicity. He couldn't get in the papers. And radio was new. Newspapers hated it. They tried to keep radio out of news, out of advertising, out of everything. And FDR said, opportunity, I'll go around the bastards.
That is an excellent point, I think.
I write about it in the Gutenberg parentheses.
Joan did not write about it in, wait a minute, let me get the...
Meme Wars.
Meme Wars or Anarchy in the Academy.
Well, if she's going to have two, I have two. This is coming out early
the new
month.
one, Magazine Take a Look. I really actually want to read this one.
Wow.
This is going to be good.
Oh, you didn't want to read the last one. You want to read this one. Thank you very much.
I tried to read the last one. It's too... I'm sorry, you're too smart for me. I couldn't.
Smart.
No.
Ant, where's your book?
I'm not smart enough to write a book. Good God.
Well, we'd like to see an Ant Pruitt.
You want a photography then?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Joe.
Wait a minute, I'm going to take a break, and then we'll go on with Joan Donovan, our wonderful guest, Ant Pruitt, Jeff Jarvis. Our show today brought to you by our friends at IT Pro TV. It's now called ACI Learning. In today's IT talent shortage, whether you operate as your own department or part of a larger team, your skills must be up to date. 94% of CIOs and CISOs agree that attracting and retaining talent is increasingly critical to their roles. Access to more than 7,200 hours of content. That's pretty impressive. And you might note that number's gotten a lot larger, and that's because there's more to talk about, more tests, more software, more skills. It's a constantly evolving arena. But all 72 hours are fresh content. ACI Learning's 7 studios operate Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to make sure you get the latest information to keep you at the top of your game. And by the way, it's not just videos, boring old droning on videos. No, they're entertaining. They're engaging for a few reasons. First of all, the instructors are all experts in the field, and they have a passion for what they're talking about. And that passion communicates. Your team will love this training. Of course, it's completely informative. So what better way? Isn't that the best way to learn anything, by somebody who's passionate about it, who knows everything about it, who's communicating it perfectly so you can learn it? No wonder ACI Learning's completion rate on their videos is 50% higher than everybody else. ACI Learning has a lot of great tools for you too, like cyber skills. You'll want to use this in your entire organization, not just the IT department. It's a cybersecurity training tool for everybody in your organization, especially non-IT professionals, so that they're up to date on the latest tricks that bad guys use to get into your network. With cyber skills, you get flexible on-demand training covering everything from password security and phishing scams to malware prevention and network safety. Your employees will stay motivated and engaged throughout the learning process with easy-to-follow material. And it starts with a simple 1-hour course overview, which will give your employees attack-specific training and knowledge check assessments based on the common cyber threats they're going to encounter every single day in their job. They'll also get access to additional bonus courses, documentary-style episodes. They can go as deep as they want, and many employees do because it's so good. The content is so well done. They'll learn about cyber attacks and breaches, and they can do it in their own style at their own time. Because one of the things I love about ACI Learning is all the courseware is 20 to 30 minutes, bite-sized chunks, which I think you need to be. Research says you only learn 3 things at a time, right? So you try to learn too much, you overwhelm yourself. So the chunk at a time during lunch, on the way home from work, as you're eating your cereal in the morning, that's a great way to learn. ACI Learning knows that. ACI Learning, they help you invest your team and entrust them to thrive while increasing the entire security of your business. Boost your enterprise cybersecurity confidence today with ACI Learning. Be bold, train smart. Visit go.acilearning.com /twit. You'll get at least 20% off or as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution plan. It's based on the size of your team, so fill out the form. Find out what the discount is going to be. ACI Learning, they're the best. Go.acilearning.com /twit. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Google. Where should I start? There's so many stories to talk about.
Google.
Here's some good news that just came in, actually. Paul Thurrott was talking about it, and I'll put this in here for you, Jeff Jarvis. Google is now promising 10 years of updates for Chromebooks.
Yep.
This was something they were getting hurt by, really. A lot of schools and others were saying.
The Wall Street Journal did a story saying that it's all electronic junk and it's everybody's. I mean, tell me any machine that can stay alive with a child for more than.
A boat anchor.
Yeah.
Fine.
I'm kidding.
But 10 years is good, and I've got a machine at the office that's probably will now update. It didn't update, so I'm happy about that.
Good. It will particularly be for more recent Chromebooks. Starting next year, all Chromebooks released since 2021 will automatically receive 10 years of security updates.
Which is pretty amazing.
That's pretty good.
For older models, consumers and IT admins will have the option to extend automatic updates to 10 years from the release date of the platform. So, for instance, my daughter, who has the last Pixel book, which I think was 2017, she loves her Pixel book. But she said, Dad, I see it's going to expire in March. Well, now she'll be able to extend it to 2027, 10 years after its release, which is, I think...
That's good.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah.
Google also said Chromebooks that go out of support, and this is important probably for everybody to hear, are still relatively secure because of the verified boot. Nobody can modify your firmware without your knowledge, and that doesn't go off just because your Chromebook isn't getting updates. And Google is also investigating whether they can update Chrome standalone, so that really that's the main thing you're using with a Chromebook. So if you can make,
they're planning to separate anyway.
Yes, exactly. So very good news if you're interested in a Chromebook, and I think this is in direct response.
Did Paul actually say something nice about Google?
He did.
What's with this?
He said good news.
Yeah.
And I think it's because a lot of schools have spent a lot of money on Chromebooks.
But even so, Leo, how many computers of any sort in an 8-year-old's hand is going to last 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Are you ready for the flying taxis?
No.
Hundreds are being made in Ohio, home of the Wright brothers. These are
for the local angle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this is the Associated Press. I don't know how they. The idea is this is Joby, which is hysterical, right? Because we know Joby because they make the Gorilla Pods.
They make Gorilla Pods, tripods, mics.
It's the same Joby, right? Mm-hmm. Joby Aviation is making what they call eVTOL aircraft, electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. They're drones. In fact, if you look at the picture, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 props.
Did they specify, batteries in this thing? And
so the range would be. I mean, I don't know what the batteries are.
We talk about range in the cars, in the EVs.
Look at this. Wait a minute. It takes off. They're pointed straight up.
Yep.
And then when it gets going,
that's what they do.
They go.
That way, it doesn't need a runway.
It's like a Harrier. That's pretty cool.
Each one of those, usually, each one of those has a battery, has its own battery.
Each prop.
But that's the problem with. That's a lot of energy to propel these things, get them off the ground.
They're designed,
to go.
according to Joby, to transport a pilot and 4 passengers at speeds of up to 200 miles an hour, maximum range 100 miles. So they're taxis. They're to get you from Newark
Manhattan to the airport.
to Manhattan, or from JFK to Manhattan.
What about from Petaluma?
Petaluma, we could get to SFO. Yeah, that's 55 miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't be able to get back.
That's the thing. It's just they've been talking about these vertical takeoffs for a while, and TWiT listeners.
Well, they're building a factory, which means I think they're going to do it.
I don't know if we're there yet, man. Just on the battery tech, and
we're more there than we are Musk's self-driving.
I don't know.
I have more faith in that than I do him.
If you've been waiting for flying cars, this is a beginning.
Well, Ant's not going.
I'm not.
What about
there
you,
yet.
Joan? Would you go in one?
I'm not there. I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not there yet.
I'm not gonna lie. I do not like getting in Teslas. I'm like, oh no. And the other part is I can never figure out how to open the door.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like you have to push on one side of the handle and then it opens.
I don't think they want you to open the door on a flying car. I think you should stay in the.
Yeah.
So
I know I should stay in the car like Judy. Right? Judy Jetson.
Judy Jetson never gets out.
Yeah,
Joby's getting $500 million, $325 million in incentives from Mike DeWine in Ohio, part of the Jobs Ohio Economic Development Office. That's a lot.
Jeez.
$500 million project. They're partnering with Toyota, Delta, Intel, and Uber.
But which Delta?
Airlines.
Parts or airline? Oh.
And the good news is they are the first eVTOL firm to receive U.S. Air Force airworthiness certification.
Wow, that's okay.
So not going to fall out of the sky, says the Air Force. I don't know.
Air Force?
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
America.
progress.
America, the United States Air Force.
I didn't know the Air Force. I'm
just quoting the
news.
AP. I'm just reading the news. I don't actually think about it. I just read it.
Just like the rest of the
That's the way it is.
It does say a lot that they have all of this extra backing here.
And they're building a plant. Toyota, a long-term investor, worked with Joby in 2019. We've seen these. I feel like we've seen them at CES.
They've been at CES for years.
To design and successfully launch.
I just saw one in LA just a couple of months ago. I mean, they're
Was
out
it flying?
there. Yeah. But again, it was a publicity stunt because they literally just go up and come right back down because they don't have the power to do much else.
Well, the other thing that's important is that, as you know, with camera drones, they're noisy.
Mm-hmm. That's an issue.
These are apparently not.
Well, they fixed the blades over camera drones over years to be less noisy, so I'm sure that's the same instance going on.
They say...
Right, here's the next question. Would you get into one without a pilot?
No, these are piloted.
No.
These are piloted. These are not. Although, I'll be honest, I think that's what's held flying cars back is people driving them. Mm-hmm. I think if you're going to do it, you can do full self-driving to start from day one.
Yes.
Because that's going to be safer. Because they can say, hey, I'm coming your way. Get out of the move. Instead of, hey, you got a cigarette? And oh, my God. They say the quiet noise profile is barely audible against the backdrop of most cities.
I don't believe that.
Whatever that means.
Okay.
That's a funny little fudge words there.
As tested in the New York subways.
Yeah. The backdrop of most cities. Good for Joby. I think that's hysterical.
They're the different Joby, I believe. But
no, I think it's the same Joby. They're from Santa Cruz. That's the same one.
That's the same
That's like
one?
Anchor making submarines.
Yeah.
So they got, okay. All right.
That's cray-cray.
Man, I guess it does make sense if they were autonomous because I can't necessarily say I expect, Queen Pruitt to listen to ATC. And making sure everything is okay, or hardhead listening to ATC, just.
We got the Pruitt 659. Are you? Where are you going? There.
Who told you to call me?
Pruitt 659. Have you filed a flight plan there for?
I don't need a flight plan. I'm just going to the salon.
No flying cars, please.
But you guys realize when you fly airplanes, there's no pilot there either. That's autopilot.
Most of the time, it's autopilot.
Yeah, but
in fact, in many commercial jets, when you're landing, at least one time in 5, I think it was, they have to use the autopilot to land.
Yeah.
And they often say the landings are better.
Yeah. But at the same time, pilot can intervene when ATC says, you know what, I need you to drop down another
I think
3,000
This doesn't
feet.
say that these are autonomous. This sounds like they got a pilot. By the way, your book is now out. Aunt Pruitt, Create and Dominate.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Thank you. That's what I wanted.
With the
Joe,
patchy
do not
gray
make
beard
me a
and all.
book. Do not make me a book, Joe. I'm just telling you, I don't want to see what you might come up with.
It'll be in 5 minutes. Done.
So the trial continues against Google. I know you talked about it a lot last week, and I was curious. What was Kathy's take on this? That this case has merit? Justice Department, 38 states and territories, saying Google used its deep pockets and dominant position to pay other companies to be the default search engine. In particular, $10 billion a year to Apple, which is a big chunk, by the way, of Apple's profit and services revenue. Did she think there was merit to this case?
I cannot remember, Mr. Jarvis.
I don't remember exactly where we landed either.
You tuned out. She just let her do the show.
No. We were just going a lot of different points.
It's so gone.
My opening point was that, and Ann agreed with this, if Google's paying $60 million, that's not a use of power. That's a market value.
Right. They saw value in the fact that Apple said, yeah, we'll take this money.
I don't really have a problem with them paying somebody.
Right.
Yeah, no.
It's
if they
in
said,
fact, I like
you're
it.
going to do this for us for free because we're so damn powerful.
That's different.
It'd be a shame if something happened to that.
I likened it to Captain Crunch going to the grocery store saying, put an end cap of Captain Crunch cereal there. Here's $1,000. In fact, that's the primary revenue for most grocery stores.
Exactly.
And nobody's ever said that's
with
illegal.
Best Buy now. Yeah, it's marketing.
I don't know.
Anyway, we'll keep following.
Where Google is, I've always said this, where Google is most vulnerable is advertising, where they own buy side and sell side.
That's what I say too. We talked about that on Sunday on TWiT, and I think agree. That's frankly what has to be fixed is divest that buy and sell.
Does our leadership know
that
consumers have choice in this matter? Even though it's default on said iPhone, you can go in and change the settings.
Grant, I just whined on Twitter, the thing some people call X, but I won't.
I believe it's called X.com.
X,
the New York Times, just Brian Chen, said, Google says switching away from search engine is easy. It's not.
Well, he's wrong.
It is easy.
But for most people, it probably, that's true for most people.
That's no.
No,
they're not. Then there would be no DuckDuckGo. There'd be no Bing. It's just Google's better.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if better is the word. It's entrenched.
It isn't better anymore, is it?
Yeah, instead of calling it tissue, we call it Kleenex. Instead of calling it Xerox, instead of calling it a coffee machine, we call it Xerox.
Yeah.
We call search Google. Even I'll be sitting shoulder to shoulder with someone and they'll say, I'm going to Google it. And they'll be on
Bing,
Bing in their address bar. Exactly.
What do you use, Joan?
I use a variety of things. But I think I'm mostly, when I'm looking for things, I'll use search on certain platforms. I'm a big YouTuber, a big TikToker. So, but if I'm searching the open web, if I don't get good answers from Google, or I am 3 or 4 pages into the search looking for something, I will switch to DuckDuckGo or Bing. And if I'm doing reverse image search, I might even use Yandex or other places that are going to pull up more relevant entries.
My argument is Neva, which, as you all know,
you loved it.
I loved it.
In peace.
I paid $5 a month to use it because it had no ads. So instead of the ads, I paid, and it was doing its own thing. Initially, as everybody does, it was using Bing, but they weaned themselves off of Bing. It was 2 executives from Google who started it, and over a period of 5 years, they were able to create their own index, and it was very good. And I loved it. And they went and they pivoted. They got out of the search business and they went to the AI business because they said the tyranny of the default. You cannot compete against Google. Not because people can't change to Neva. I did. Sorry, Brian. It's not that hard.
All right.
But in fact, Neva, and I think DuckDuckGo does this and a lot of others, provide apps and browser extensions to simplify that process.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the issue. The issue was 99% of people just, I'll use Google. As you say, Joan, that's the verb. I'm going to Google it. And we call it the tyranny of the default. And Neva went out of business because they couldn't triumph over that.
What phone do you carry, Joan? I've never asked.
Oh, I'm an Apple person. I was very interested and into Androids. And then this is a funny story. The day I went to New York, I turned my phone off. It was the day I was going to be interviewing at Data and Society for a job I eventually got. And I flew from New York, shut my phone off. I was in California, shut my phone off, got to New York, and it wouldn't turn back on.
Oh, no.
And then I was in New York City, literally at JFK, thinking, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And I went to Sprint, and luckily I was able to just buy a whole nother phone.
That's a cautionary tale.
I switched to Apple.
You're right. Without our phones, we're helpless. I knew I was buying the new iPhone. I'm getting it on Friday. And I was at my sister's last week. And as I'm leaving on Saturday, I gave her my phone. Said, have my old iPhone 14 because I'm getting the new 15. And then I realized I'm out of luck. I don't know how to drive to the airport.
Yeah, you don't know where you're going.
I don't know where I am. I've been missing calls all week, and I have an Android phone. It doesn't matter. Your life is in one phone, right? I am this week using the Samsung Flip, which is actually a great phone. It's a nice phone. It's attractive. I do have everything on here and all of that because I've been dual phoning for a while, but it isn't the same. Your phone is really like your handbag, right? It's like without that, where would I find my mints and tissues? I don't know. I gotta have it.
It was just like particularly disconcerting because I grew up in Boston, and so New York was never anything I wanted to learn about. So I was kind of first through immersion.
I grew up in Providence.
Ask a New Yorker,
and I didn't know how to get to Logan. So there, okay.
Yeah. So it was a whole thing for me.
That's hilarious.
I was like, I'm going to ask this guy in a Yankees hat for mercy. So
I'm driving from Providence to Boston to Logan, and I'm thinking it's less than an hour. It's fast. It's easy. And then I got mad at my dad because he would never take us to Red Sox games because he said, it's too far away.
You're like, this an
it's
hour
easy.
away.
What are you talking about?
It's an hour away.
Leo, you come to Boston, Red Sox games on me.
Oh, I love Fenway. I have since
Fenway's
gone
the best.
to many a game at Fenway. I love Fenway.
Yeah.
Fenway, I took my daughter and her best friend to a game at Fenway. And we had kind of out by the Green Monster seats. And the steps are a little bit like moss. This feels like 100 years of beer and hot dogs have soaked into the cement.
That's why I want to go.
And they're almost soft from all of the years of beer and other detritus washing down the steps at Fenway. And they're worn, like you could tell, 100 years of baseball fans have walked on these steps. It's awesome.
I would love to be
It's
there.
like beach glass or something, you know? It's like, it's got that, it really
There's
does.
something going on with it. There's something going on there. This was the week for leaked documents.
Oh, boy.
Microsoft, somewhat embarrassed by a trove of documents leaked in discovery in the FTC case against their merger with Activision.
Which the Fed said was Microsoft's fault, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be one page, but there were attachments, and it turns out the attachments were hundreds of megabytes of internal presentations. Looks like we were talking about it on Windows Weekly, and for the best description of it all, you tune in Windows Weekly because Paul's been reading it. But it looks like many of them were presentations intended for the board of directors to say, here's our plan.
Ooh.
In fact, one of the things is said, our plan for dominance by 2038. This is how we're going to beat Sony. So that was actually quite interesting and worth a read. And it's fairly recent. It's in the last couple of years. So everything in there is fairly recent. Well, apparently, also as part of the Microsoft Activision discovery, there was a leak of a document from Google. Dov Zimring, who was leading the Project Stadia project since its beginnings. It's actually a really great document. I highly recommend. Stadia was, you may remember, the project Google started for cloud gaming. And they started it before anybody else. This was back 9 years ago. They started this. And the idea was we'll run the servers. We'll run the games. You can play them on any device. And it makes sense for the company that makes Android and Chromebooks that this would be able, now you'd be able to play AAA games on these low-powered devices because all the power is in the cloud. So it's good it's good all around. It makes Google's cloud money, makes Google's devices work better. They did a very deep, if you read it, market research, where they really looked into, what was going on. And actually, I think I've made fun of Stadia probably. And I think I know I did. I want to take it back.
You have indeed.
Yeah.
I will.
I want to take it back because I'm impressed by the amount of thinking that went into it.
So it's your fault that all this good thinking went to naught.
They made one mistake.
Okay.
And it's a completely understandable mistake. They should have used Windows on these servers because all the games that are written for Windows.
Okay.
But they said it said when Stadia was, this is quoting him, was selecting the technology stack, including GPU, operating system, API for the Stadia servers that would run games, we considered several alternatives. We faced a decision between, on the one hand, technologies that would provide the most flexibility and opportunity for us to realize our vision, or, on the other hand, technologies with which third-party game developers were already familiar. The first was Linux, right? More flexible, more opportunity for customization, easier for us to use that we don't have to pay Microsoft a little something for each instance. We believe this would enable the creation of new types of games and lead to the best end-user experience on Stadia and the best streaming quality. They weren't wrong, by the way. Their stack was very good. But Game Studio said, we're not going to redo our games for Linux.
Oh, I see.
Why would we do that? This is the quote. One negative consequence of the decision, it would increase the cost for external game studios to build games and port existing games to Stadia, despite Stadia's considerable investment to ease these costs through developer tooling, middleware, and personnel to directly support game studios. It just wasn't enough.
Nope.
Stadia was the most advanced cloud gaming service, he says, generally outperformed competing cloud gaming services. And I'd agree with this in key metrics, video quality, smoothness of performance, etc. They had this great controller that was direct, Wi-Fi direct. It really reduced latency for, first-person shooters and stuff. But they couldn't get the AAA titles. Stadia, this is another quote, vigorously competed with other gaming services and partnered with several publishers to bring their games to Stadia. EA brought FIFA, Madden NFL, Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order to Stadia. But they couldn't get the new games. Stadia never had access to the extensive library of games on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. More importantly, these competing services offered a wider selection of AAA games than Stadia. And this is the problem. Our internal research confirmed players expect to have access to many of these games on their chosen platforms. They're not going to choose a platform where they can't play that Call of Duty, that AAA title.
Everybody knows that. It didn't take a lot of research to come up with that.
So it's one of those, it's a great example of where you make a decision early on that impacts it all the way down.
And everybody nods and said, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Linux.
Was this a postmortem? Who was it written for?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. It's not clear. It includes information from the whole process. The beginning of the end was when Google killed and we talked about this when it happened in 2021, their own studio to develop games for Stadia. That was like, well, Then Google said, well, maybe we can sell this white label list to third parties. Nobody wanted it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So eventually, and this is what happens in a company. While Stadia enjoyed success in supporting smaller developers' efforts to port their games to Stadia, we were unable to reach agreement with the developers of AAA games who complained about the cost of porting their games to work on Stadia, given the lack of users on Stadia, even with the subsidies we provided. You don't get the flywheel. You don't get the users, the games, the users, the games, the users, the game. It's actually... It's when you see this written out, they did the work, they did the right thing. I even think they made the right decision with Linux, that there was no way they were going to win once they did that. In fact, this is what Steam's now finding out with Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, this isn't why they failed. This isn't why Stadia failed.
Why did Stadia fail? Benito, from the outside, an actual gamer.
Get him.
I was a games journalist when the Stadia came out, so like I was like really on top of this at the time. This didn't work because it sucked. Period.
Well, no, Benito, wasn't it the lack of games you wanted to play?
No, because I had those games on Windows. Why would I buy a new thing to play those games? And also, like, there's latency in the control, and there's going to be a certain set of games
you can't beat the latency
where you're not going to be able to play. That you're just seriously not going to be able to play.
You can't fix that.
Everything
So,
we
like,
argued about.
And those are all the games people want to play.
Yeah. Online, especially.
It's not Dwarf Fortress that's going to make this
exactly
platform. It's Call of Duty.
So this article was just like, this is why we failed. This is someone saving face.
Okay.
Mr. Howell did a review of the Stadia here, however many years ago it was, and boy, that was a battle.
He said the same thing, didn't he? He said it sucked.
It was so hard for him to get that review done.
All right, you're right. Screw you, Dove Zimring.
It's okay.
Joan, are you a gamer?
Sometimes you lay an egg, man, and that was Google laying an egg.
I got the Switch during the pandemic because I like to.
Don't tell me you played Animal Crossing.
That thing's killing it.
I did. My old neighbors, my old landlords had it, but to be honest with you, it was so complicated trying to link up with other people that I just switched to Mario Kart and would just, battle, preteens.
I played so much Animal Crossing. My island looks so good. And I don't want to go back because I know it's going to have cockroaches,
life,
and cobwebs. It's very much like life. But
it was capitalism.
It was in COVID when I didn't have a life.
That's true. I couldn't figure out how to get off my island. Then I just went fishing all the time because that was the only thing I knew how to do. And, I had the PlayStation 2 many years ago. I had one game, Grand Theft Auto, and all I wanted to do was like set cars on fire with the flamethrower. And so I never actually played the game. And I feel like you can get away with that with certain games. The other game I really loved was Simpsons Crazy Taxi, which had like a cult following. That game was so much fun.
I've never played the Simpsons version, but Crazy Taxi is a great game.
Yeah, but you're just crashing cars. And
you just hit cars.
Funny.
It's very twisted, man.
And that's it.
Very anarchistic.
Joan gets to watch real people crash real things.
I know, right? But it's it was fun. I don't know. I like fun games, and I was totally that person that watched my older brother play Castlevania and all of the Nintendo games, and so I always admired it from afar. I really wish I was better at games. Because then I think I would enjoy the actual game part.
Sounds like hard-hit.
It's true. I feel the same way, Joan. But there are games for people like us who aren't good at games. Yeah.
There's no game for me. I've tried.
Send me some samples.
Minecraft was for me a great game because you didn't have to be great at it. You just built stuff.
Okay.
I play a lot of Valheim, which is Minecraft for Vikings.
I was going to say the ones you running around by yourself are totally fine.
There's nobody in there. It's just me. And I build a lot of castles and houses. And, there's a few bad guys and you just go whack and they're dead.
Or just be a game where you're like the medic support, even though you're horrible at shooting things.
You be the medic?
Be the medic.
I don't like games where you have too many fiddly bits. And I'm with you, Joan. There's too much. It's too complicated. I don't want that. I just want simple. All right, we're gonna take a break, come back and talk about AI. Google. So last Sunday, We had Sam Lessin on, who's great VC at Slow Ventures.
That was a good show.
Jessica Lessin's husband.
The intern.
And I
used
said,
to work with his father. Sam's father was.
Who's Sam's father?
Bob Lessin. He died some years ago now, but he was worked with him at Condé Nast. He was an amazing.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Early investor. Yeah.
So Sam's father was a media mogul.
Yeah.
That's
pretty cool.
From the money side.
I first became aware of Sam because he did a great startup called Drop.io, which would let you store stuff, and it was it was really good thing. He sold it, and he's gone on to better things. Anyway, I said Bard sucks. He said, no, Bard's the best. Well, Bard's trying to become the best. We'll talk about what's next for Google Bard as well. Coming up in just a moment. Joan Donovan is here. I'm not going to say the author of Anarchy in the Academy, although
keep saying it.
Every time I say it becomes more real.
Stick, just keep saying it.
Her most recent book, which isn't even that old and is really good. Do you feel like when you write a book like Meme Wars that it's going to be dated very quickly? Because, this is a fast-moving target.
No, because we did the thing where we kind of tried to put the chapters in such a historical context that you actually start with Occupy and Alex Jones and Steve Bannon. And it's really this fascinating, if I do say so myself, fascinating story of the last 10 years of net history.
Absolutely.
So it has a lot of lessons for where we're headed. But each chapter tries to reveal tips and tricks for people who are, maybe not super interested in the politics, but are interested in what's happening online, how they can understand Meme Wars and how it operates and how these different platforms engage in content moderation.
Nice. Now I have to read it. I will.
I'll send you a copy.
Oh,
I don't know how I didn't send you a copy.
I'll buy a copy. I read
the audiobook.
It's wicked cheap on Amazon
on Kindle.
Right now.
It's like $12.60. So
get it.
I will get it.
Everybody
I will. You don't have to send it to me. I will get it. Everybody should get it. We had Taylor Lorenz on a couple of weeks ago on TWiT.
Oh, she's great.
And her new book is coming out in a couple of weeks. Similar. It's kind of funny to read these for histories of something that just happened. I feel like I've been living this
a week ago.
Yeah, but it is history, and it's really interesting. And when you start to read this, you go, "Oh, I remember that." It all is so evanescent that it's if you don't do what you're doing, you're writing this book and her book, it's going to evaporate.
Right. And our students are younger than the internet, so we have to teach this. When I taught, of course, with Douglas Rushkoff, I kind of didn't think of that they didn't know the internet before. And I just taught a class with Jay Rosen. He does this every year with me, and it's a lot of fun, where he goes from the very beginning of the internet, but then when we start hitting the 90s, this is before them.
Yeah. Right? Well, and Joan's writing about...
talking about AOL and that kind of stuff is wholly new.
Joan's writing about, history, but it's recent history. How the Stop the Steal movement.
It's all recent to
went
us,
from online to the. I know, it's amazing. Well, if you're interested, this sounds great. I just bought it, so I'm looking forward to reading it. Meme Wars: The Untold Story of the Online Battles Upending Democracy in America. Came out last year, so it's not an old book. Came out.
No, we were just getting started. Yeah. It ends on the day of the insurrection, but we had to write an epilogue because everyone was going to jail. Big surprise.
Oh, wow.
So we have a whole chapter on the Proud Boys. We have a chapter on what we call Joker politics, which is the rise of Nick Fuentes, who ends up eating Thanksgiving dinner with Trump and Kanye West.
That's right.
Not that long ago. So I think we're we're the first people to really chronicle where he came from and what his power level is and how he ended up hosting conferences where, Paul Gosar and MTG had showed up to talk to the crowd. And so, there's a lot to learn and discover. I think sometimes I feel like I live in this shadow world where you have mainstream politics. And if you watch what's happening in right-wing politics on the internet, 6 months later, it's happening in the party. And the same thing with left-wing politics. If you watch what's happening online, eventually it shows up in the mainstream. And so we, as authors, we really wanted to decode that.
I might note that this is the exact 1-year anniversary of its release.
Oh, you're right.
Wow.
September 20. Yeah. Crazy.
Isn't that great?
It perfectly.
I should have had a book birthday.
Happy birthday, Meme Wars.
I mean, that's true.
Did you imagine when you wrote this that people like leader of the Proud Boys would be going to jail for 22 years?
I was hoping, but, no, I couldn't believe it because, when this stuff was happening and in motion, most people disregarded them as, just these weirdos, these zealous idiots, these, MAGA fans. But if you look at the history of the people that came to be the Proud Boys and how they made tons of money off of T-shirts and all kinds of 1776 gear. And so the Proud Boys were actually a business in many ways and not just a movement. And so once you start to look at those dynamics, you realize how serious it was and that we perhaps got away lucky, even though there were several people who died on that day. But I still don't understand why they didn't bring assault weapons. And I don't think they're going to leave them behind the next time.
Yeah.
But it's still remarkable to me that I think they really did believe in their hearts that Trump was going to call the Insurrection Act, and they had people stationed with weapons off-site ready to come in.
Right.
And when he didn't do it, they left, the White House. I mean, the Capitol building. But I said the White House because I was thinking about Inauguration Day. But yeah, I think it's a strange thing to kind of witness this and see so many people pretend as if the Proud Boys were not a legitimate threat, even though there were years.
I felt, at some point I thought, oh, these are just cosplaying military. They're just basement losers who are cosplaying military. But they really were dangerous.
Yeah, they were. And also some of them were they
weren't just
cops and military.
Yeah,
exactly. They had training, not just the Proud Boys, but also thinking here, the Oath Keepers and other folks that took up, January 6th as their anthem. And, it's so weird because you're right about it being so recent, but it does feel like a lifetime ago, 2016, and then 2020, and now we're headed towards 2024, and from my perspective, all bets are off.
Joan Donovan is our guest, author of the fabulous new book, Anarchy in the Academy.
You're killing me. Now you're getting all my SEO. I got it. Now I got to register my domain name.
Who blurbed it?
Look at
How did you get the real book? Like, what is going on that you've got the book in front of you?
Welcome to the future, 2024.
You have got to send that to me.
Yeah.
What did you 3D print this? Like, where did this come from? Who's got a printer like that?
GPT wrote it. I sent it to Lulu. It came out. It's done.
It's done. It's out.
Don't read the top part, though, that says, I don't think this is true, based on the 2002 National Electrical Code. I think that's an error. That's hallucination. That's AI hallucination right there.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's shocking.
Guys, you too much.
Shocking.
Too much.
The shocking expose.
So good.
I love this crimson blood.
Oh, it is good. It is good.
So good.
Oh, Mr. Esposito, well done.
It's a collaborative effort here at TWiT, I gotta say.
Yes.
I don't know how you managed to make an actual book.
Mr. Joe Esposito's work and then the clever engineering of the one and only Mr. Burke here at TWiT Studios.
Mr. Burke, well done.
Wow.
I need that now for my personal archive.
Oh, yes.
You know,
I have
Leo,
the first edition, Joan.
Yeah. You know, but I told you this before. I used to cruise around in LA listening to you on Sundays and going to estate sales and you know, hearing you talk about which tablet to buy and what you know, scam not to fall for. And
now I'm putting these skills to good use.
You know, oh my God. All full circle now.
Done. Right, well done, team.
We'll have more.
Well
what a team. I love it.
That's hilarious.
We'll have more in just a moment with Joan Donovan, Aunt Pruitt, and Mr. JJ Jeff Jarvis. He's Dynamite Jarvis, we call him. The show today brought to you by, I love Mileo. I was just telling Paul Thurrott about Mileo because he's doing, as we all must do at some point, the great digital cleanup, right?
You got a migration happening.
You live your life, you collect in digital detritus in your documents folder, your photos folder, and you just got all this stuff. At some point you say, I got to do something about this and organize it. So he's doing that right now. Actually, it's been great because he's been posting videos to YouTube from Microsoft briefings and stuff, all sorts of good stuff. But he's got all these photos. And he said, I suddenly realized it's not just Google photos. That isn't even the most complete collection. They're here and here and here and here and here. And I got to somehow get them together in one place, and I got to get rid of the duplicates. I said, Paul, Mileo, Mylio. And by the way, it's free, so get it right now. Free for one computer. You're going to maybe end up wanting to get the Mileo Photos Plus, because then you could put it on all your computers, and that's what I've done. I have it on every single computer. It's a smart, powerful system. It's what Aunt, you and I would call a DAM, a digital asset management solution. But by the way, not just photos. It has OCR built in, so it can take PDFs and other documents. It understands Word documents. It'll import them. It will then index them based on the contents. Makes it very easy to search. And here's the best thing. It's not storing them on anybody's cloud, not Google, it's your stuff. You can keep it completely offline if you want. Or it has encryption built in. You can encrypt it and then upload it to Dropbox or iCloud or Google Drive, anywhere you've got some storage, but it's encrypted so nobody except you can see what's in there. It's the solution to optimizing and preserving your digital legacy, and it's absolutely free. I should check my Mileo. I think it's over 200,000 photos in there. And what's cool about it is it doesn't slow down. I've heard of Mileo catalogs with 2 million photos in it. It's remarkable.
We've been doing it for document control in the Pruitt household because one college boy and another potential college boy headed out. There's a lot of documents to keep up with, and it's always a question of, well, where is it on the computer?
Right. Here I've got the calendar view, and it's got each month and the photos that belong to each month. What's great is it also shows in this bar on the right, and you can move it around. But I've got 205,000. Oh, yeah, you can look over my shoulder. That's good. 205,000 photos, and it shows all the devices that I'm hooked up with. So there's my laptop, my desktop, my tablets, my iPhone. Here's a Windows machine. And you can choose how much data. You see, this one has thumbnails and optimized copies. My desktop, which has a lot of storage, has the thumbnails, the optimized, and the originals. You can have them anywhere you want, so you never lose anything. And then I told Paul the best part. First of all, you could take your Google Takeout. I downloaded it to Google Takeout and then just import it exactly as it comes from Google. And so I got everything imported. So I know I have and you could do that with Flickr. You could do that with Instagram. You could do it with all your different computers. So now I have all of the photos in all the different disparate places in one place. But as you might imagine, there's lots of duplicates. It's got a deduplicate command that works so well. It's perfect. It'll show you what it's suggesting. But after I looked at it, I went through a few of them. I said, "Oh, you got it. You're doing great." So I pressed do them all, and boom, they're gone. It keeps track of edits. It lets you go to an editor It has smart tags. So I've got all the people tagged, but it'll also automatically do things like lakes, mountains, snow.
Outdoors.
Outdoor activities, animals, plants,
long exposure,
colors, smart tags. I remember back in the day, there was this great app that Google bought and killed called Picasa.
Oh, don't bring that up.
I miss Picasa. This is like Picasa on steroids. This is like Picasa 10 years later, like if they kept working on it. And in fact, these guys have been working on Mileo photos for that long. They've been improving it every year. In fact, they just announced a whole bunch of improvements. I can't tell you, I'm NDA'd, but they're coming soon. Older documents you thought were lost, you can update them right in the app and keep the original intact. And with the Mileo Photos Plus subscription, all your devices, as you saw, in one library with no cloud storage required, or you can use cloud storage. What I've got is I got my Synology. I put Mileo on my Synology, and so I have that one's read-only. Read-only, so it can download everything, but it can't be modified. So that's like a backup.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You don't have to rely on anybody's cloud to keep those files accessible on all the devices. Don't wait. Preserve your digital legacy today. Get Mileo photos for free on your computer or mobile device. Our special URL, please use this, Mileo, M-I-L-I-O, Mileo, M-Y. I just say it really slowly for Paul for some reason. MYLIO.com/twit. You download Mileo photos for free. Just verify. It'll do everything you need. Mileo.com/twit. It completely replaced Google Photos for me. Mileo.com/twit. What did you do, Burke? You took it and you fixed it? Was there something wrong with it? I think it looks still pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks pretty sharp to me.
Looks good to me. Anarchy in the Academy, based on the 2002 National Electric Code. Get yours. Get yours today.
At least make it about telephones or something relevant.
Well, I think it's going to be a thicker book than this, too, with all the revolution.
Well, you'll be surprised. I've literally felt buried for a year, and so there's a lot I want to say, which is why I need an editor.
Yeah, I was going to say your editor is going to have the razor out.
I read, and I've mentioned this before, but I loved it. It was so many. It was 1,300 pages. The Robert Moses biography.
Oh yeah.
The physical book is literally this.
Wow.
And
was it good?
Oh, it's incredible.
He's been talking about it
I'll
for
have
2
to
months.
check
I can't stop. Well, it took me 2 months to read. It's 64 hours on Audible, but there was a great documentary about Bob Gottlieb, who passed recently. Jeff knows who Gottlieb is, one of the great editors at, what was the publishing house? Simon & Schuster? I can't remember.
It was Random House.
Random House.
And I think Knopf.
He started Knopf. I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember. Gottlieb was Robert Caro's editor, and they had an amazing partnership. And Gottlieb's daughter made this documentary before Bob Gottlieb passed. And it's about Caro and Gottlieb and their collaboration. And one of the things, it's called Turn Every Page. Highly recommended. Where did I find it? I think it was on Criterion Collection. But anyway, it's worth finding if you can. It's a great documentary. But it turns out the manuscript was twice as big.
Son of a...
And they had to cut 130,000 words because no press could print a single volume big enough. And Caro said, well, why don't we make 2 volumes? And Gottlieb said, look, it's going to be hard enough getting people to buy 1 book on Robert Moses. There's no way they're going to buy 2. So they had to cut 130,000 words.
That's how long my book was.
That's a whole book. They cut a whole book out.
Dang.
And imagine how hard that was.
You're right, Simon & Schuster and Knopf.
And Gottlieb said it wasn't like those 130,000 words were bad. He said every word, I mean, Caro's amazing. Every story, you didn't want to cut anything, but you had to.
Jeez. And it looks like it is available for rent on pretty much all of the streaming platforms.
Turn Every Page. I really liked it. That's my pick of the week. Let's see. What else is going on? I should do the AI.
You want to do the Bard story?
Oh, yeah. Let's start the AI story with...
Well, see, I need your help here. Is Google saying it's released, it's out, it's extensions? I can't figure out how to use it. I want to use it before the AI show tomorrow. Can you find any way to actually attach Bard to your Gmail?
Oh, to attach it to Gmail. Here, let's see. I just went to bard.google.com. Introducing Bard extensions.
Oh, there.
Next. Let's see.
Let me guess.
Quickly get what you need from Gmail. Okay. Next. Double check Bard's responses. Okay. Done. I guess that's... Did I do it? I don't know. One of the things Bard does that ChatGPT does not do is this disclaimer. There is a little disclaimer on ChatGPT, but it's not quite so honest. Bard may display inaccurate or offensive information that doesn't represent Google's views. Okay, I got it. I don't
get that.
I'm not seeing any.
Maybe I'm special.
Okay, extensions at the top.
Based on your places, update location.
Where do you see the extension?
I don't know why this extension thing is making me think of that movie Snowpiercer, as if like there's a little person inside the machine that works for Google that's typing your emails for you.
Oh, I like that.
That's the image that I got when you were like, oh, yeah, it might
a little person.
say untrue things. You know, it's like, well, do you know that movie? Like at the end, the big reveal is that, you know, they're cannibalizing children because they're the only ones small enough to work the machines. It's a scary one. But I just feel with these, if only they could get a machine to read my emails and respond to emails, and I wouldn't have to do anything.
Is this a good movie? Should I watch Snowpiercer? I've always kind of avoided it.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun.
Train in the snow was the only thing.
Well, fun
but it's spooky, and I don't know how to explain it.
It's a Bong Joon-ho film. It's the guy who made Parasite.
Yeah. Parasite was interesting.
But yeah, no, Parasite I loved.
Won the Academy Award, so I'm sure it was good.
Click on one of those things on the top of the screen where you do an extension. Let's see you use it.
Here. Okay, look. See the little puzzle piece with the red dot? Do you have a red dot on yours?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So I clicked the little puzzle piece. Turn extensions on or off for any time. Okay. Google Flights. Google Hotels. Google Maps. They're all on. See that? Google Workspace. Let's turn that on. Yep.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to connect it. Yeah, well, I'll connect it. Who's talking?
You're saying the magic words.
Google. Hey, you. YouTube. So now, I don't know. I guess it's on.
Now, if you go to your
let's go to YouTube.
You should ask. It should have that kind of question ready for you, or a space for you to ask.
It says discover and learn from YouTube videos in your Bard conversations. So now I'm just adding the YouTube stuff as fodder for the little child in the Bard machine.
That's
maybe you could ask it to search your email. That's one of the things you could do is summarize all my email from Lisa about the business.
Let me go to Gmail.
That would be useful. Why would this be useful in YouTube?
Well, here's you can ask it. Because Joan said she uses YouTube search. It's a better search. Tell me how to do this, and it'll show you the videos.
You're right.
But it's saying in here, discover and learn from YouTube videos in your Bard conversations. Get inspired. Research a topic. Okay, so research.
Well, maybe go to Bard, Leo, and say, show me how to.
Oh, that's probably what it is.
Install a.
Don't you love this part of the show where we ostensibly experts on Google try to figure out how the hell this stuff works? Summarize all the emails I've received from Shein. Let's see if it knows. It's got my Gmail. Finding your emails, accessing emails.
Whoa.
You've received 5 emails from Shein promoting new arrivals, discounts, and seasonal collections. They also encourage you.
How cool are you?
Well, that's because I'm Laporte.
I know.
Okay. Let's do one for the YouTubes. Find me the YouTube video I watched about fixing up a car. Let's see if it knows what I watched, right? It's going through my YouTube.
It's pretty cool.
I just asked this, how many messages do I have in my shipping folder?
That's good.
And I got a response. I don't have access to your email account, so I can't tell you how many messages, even though I just
You clicked the little thing?
Yeah, I just did all of that.
Oh, you have the thing, Leanne? I thought you didn't have it. You have it?
Yeah, I do. I put the little
You know what?
URL.
I'll bet it's because I'm Google Workspace.
Oh, yeah, it's because your
Workspace.
Anyway, that's nice.
Yeah, I turned it on. I guess it's going to take.
What are the other maps? Have it plan. Do what you did in Italy, where it had to plan a trip.
Well,
try that.
I have to say, every time I've given a Bard prompt, it's not been as good as ChatGPT, especially version 3, 5, 4. That's the latest 4, right? One of the stories is that Google is now working on Gemini, which is what they call multimodal LLM. Means that you can give it images or ask for images. You can do music. You could do a multimedia, in effect, thing. So what did you want me to do? Search for?
Just have it do the perfect tour of Venice.
Me the perfect tour of Rome. I'll do, because that's where my son is right now.
Oh.
And with anything, what should I? Any qualifiers?
Something about food. Something weird about food. With the best.
I'll just put food tour.
Pasta.
Give me the perfect. Here we go. Gluten-free tour of Rome.
Nice.
And ask him to put it on a Google map.
On my Google map. I like that, Benito. Okay, give me the perfect gluten-free tour of Rome on Google Maps. It's opening Google Maps right now. It's thinking. Bard was just updated. Here's a possible gluten-free tour of Rome.
It's working now.
Start your day with coffee and pastry. Oh, wait a minute. At Pandali, a gluten-free bakery and cafe. Then head to Voglia di Pizza, gluten-free, a snug eatery that serves up delicious gluten-free pizza. Take a walk to the Trevi Fountain and visit the Pantheon. There's no gluten there. Then head to the Colosseum and Roman Forum. For dinner, La Sofita Renovatio, a family-run restaurant that serves house pasta specials and home-style dishes from Rome and Abruzzo. And here's the map. I think it's pretty nicely integrated. Look at that.
Yeah, not bad.
That's good. Doesn't have my path on it. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, those are there. But let's talk a little more about this Gemini thing. This is a story from the Information. OpenAI hustles to beat Google to launch multimodal LLM. Now we got a horse race.
Mm-hmm. This is business.
Google has shared Gemini with a small group of outside companies, but OpenAI is racing to integrate GPT-4 with multimodal features similar to what Gemini does. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all there's. That's the story. Any comments? Okay, that's a yawn.
Nope.
Oh, have you seen Stability AI's new stable audio?
Oh, I have it.
This is another multimodal, but it only does audio. Let's. You want to make some music? Let's make some music. Now, it comes with some samples, which are predictably
AI-ish.
Jason was making music with this last week on.
Oh, he already did it?
Yeah. Well, it's okay because no. What on our show was on the other show.
The AI show.
It was on AI Inside.
Jeff and Jason do AI Inside every Thursday in our Club TWiT. If you're not a Club TWiT member and you'd like to hear more of this awful music.
That's not awful. That's decent white noise, at least.
When you say white noise, you mean noise from white people, or?
No, that's other gibberish that y'all do. But
this sounds exactly what a computer thinks music is.
Yeah.
No heart, no soul.
Not too worried.
But again, that's just white noise. That would totally be fine as a music bed on some video that's just showing off a product. It would be totally fine for
that. The prompt for this is ambient tech meditation, Scandinavian forest, 808 drum machine, 808 kick, claps, shaker, synthesizer, synth bass, synth drones, beautiful, peaceful, ethereal, natural, 122 beats per minute instrumental.
I think it works. Let's get Mr. Nielsen in here with a camera to shoot B-roll of this Logitech M10 mouse with that in the background, and it will work.
Yeah, you're right. It'd be a perfect YouTube channel.
Does it have anything for heavy metal?
Oh, you want some heavy metal?
Oh,
yeah, another plug.
Probably gonna make.
I started a band last year.
Are you serious?
What?
I'm in a punk rock band. Yeah, we play shows. We play all ages shows. We're called Pushback. because it's my favorite HR term. And I'll send you some stickers. We're recording a demo soon.
But, don't worry, we'll make you some stickers.
I love music.
Stickers will be made in about
make
5
me
minutes.
stickers. make me a book. Have Bard write it.
You don't have to write anything anymore.
Hey, write me an album. Put in Norwegian black metal. See what comes back.
Is that what you play?
I'm interested. Well, not the Norwegian part. We're more like North Shore of Massachusetts, but that's not a genre yet.
More like lobster roll and roast beef sandwich.
Yeah. Come get some salt and
By the
vinegar
way, that's what
chips,
Kelly's on the beach. That's the ad is a roast beef sandwich next to a lobster roll.
Oh yeah,
that makes my
Kelly's
stomach
is
hurt.
still there.
That
My stomach
website.
hurt.
That website was
Oh
beautiful.
well.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
What is this asking you to do? Verify what?
I have to log in.
Oh.
I'm just going to log in, and then you're going to give me a prompt, Joan, for the music from your. What do you play in your band?
I sing in the band.
Give me an example of some Joan Donovan singing.
The vocalist.
Oh God, no. No, not falling into that trap. No.
I can
catch
continue
it.
with Google. Here, I'll continue with Google.
Yeah. See if Google will write a heavy metal song.
This is stable AI, stability, which was one of the early image guys. Okay, I have read and accept the terms and conditions. Of course, I haven't.
Yeah, you did. I saw you read them just 2 minutes ago.
So I'm going to need you to give me a prompt. So you want a Norwegian black metal. Mm-hmm. What else?
That's it. I mean, let's see what it does.
Punk.
Wow.
Song.
Punk.
With
an ode to
amazing
Harvard.
Gravel voiced lead singer.
Gravel voiced
Female.
Lead.
I love it.
Gravel voiced? No.
160
I'm a
BPM.
gravelly voice.
Okay, you don't have a
That
gravel
works.
voice. What else? What else?
Oh, I
Benny?
do when I
160
sing.
But she sings. I was
160 BPM because it's going to be true punk
D flat.
in D flat.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
drop D.
Wow.
Do it.
All right, let's see. This is going to be good or
It
not.
takes a minute.
This is probably
It's just gonna talk about white noise.
Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Is it playing? What is going on
I'm
here?
still thinking.
Still thinking. It's pending.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot
That's
of punk
about how
rock
long
concerts.
it takes us to
Pending.
write a song.
Mr. Howell says it
Pending.
might take a minute or two. So
We're pending. All right, we'll come back. We'll come back to it. Stay tuned for Norwegian black metal, punk rock, and D flat.
Show title: Norwegian black metal.
We did Harry Potter. I think that's it. That's the AI segment
For now.
Well, I know there's a little more below. In fact, we should plug AI Inside on Len 50.
Because coming up on AI Inside, something good, or we'll just play. This is a little
Listen,
promo.
last week, and then we're also going to plug next week.
Last week,
Here's last week.
AI
Just a little
Inside.
background.
Thank you for taking some time to talk with us today. We really appreciate you.
It's a good line at the end.
All right, Alex Babin, zerosystems.com. We will bring it back in
That guy has a nice
somewhere down the
voice.
line.
He has a nice
check
voice,
back in on,
like that Jason
on
Howell
where
guy.
this is all kind of continuing
musician.
to develop into.
We're so good to talk practically, not stupidly.
Yeah, right.
No, right? So much is so hyped
Yeah,
up.
right.
This is it's very practical and it has to be right. And the tolerances for hallucinations and stupidity is much lower. And I'm glad to see that. That was great to hear.
I also appreciated the comment, not taking jobs, is taking the jobs of people who aren't, utilizing AI. He, of course, worded it a lot more eloquently than I just did.
Remember 20 years ago, there were when there were job advertisements and people like companies were looking for people. There was everywhere a line. Knowledge of computer is required.
Yeah, right. Right.
So now no one puts it in because it's just like redundant. Everyone knows how to use the computer.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be like work with AI is required. Ability to know how to prompt correctly is required.
Yeah.
And I would say English majors are taking the world back by storm. Computer science.
You can write a prompt, right? You can write a
English
prompt.
major, literature.
That's nice. Who was
ability
that?
to
Who was that
grasp
guest?
work.
He's good. I like him. He made a good point.
He runs a company called Zero, and the line that he had coming up there was that the most powerful programming language in the world today is English.
English language.
Well, in that case, I think we should hear some Norwegian black metal in D flat. Joan, can you sing
Not
to
bad.
this?
Yeah, I could.
I love it! Anarchy in the Academy!
This part's a little weird.
Actually, you know
That is
what?
vocalist.
This is not bad.
There's a vocalist.
Yeah. I think you were
The
smart.
vocals sound completely underwater.
Yeah, a lot of what AI music sounds underwater for some reason. But it's 160 beats per minute in D flat.
I would work with this.
It's to me all punk sounds the same. So
I would work with it.
there you go. We
Leo, you're
deadlifts
asking me
there.
to make you a Spotify playlist, I guess.
Oh, would
If
you
all
please?
punk sounds the same.
Would you
I
please?
would be delighted.
Would you please? I actually recognize that as the bassist from Metallica.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe you can make me. I would love if you made me a Spotify play. We'll share it with our audience. We'll put it in the show notes. You don't have to do
Consider
it
it
right
done.
now, but yeah, sometime before the end of the world, if you would,
Okay.
if you would do that,
Mm-hmm.
I would appreciate it. That would be great. Jeff, you did have a bunch of AI stories in here, so let me peruse.
There's anything worthwhile. Well, the beginning of it was
Next week, by the way, Neary White Blyspot joins.
Vice Platt is
yeah,
going to be
I
on.
can-
She has a new newsletter called AI Panic.
Oh,
She's exposing the moral
good.
panic. Moral panic.
We
Get
had
ready,
Nareed
Jesus.
on the
Get
show
ready.
some time ago because she was talking about how tech journalists have basically been forced to do something bad. I can't remember, something like that.
They were moral panic.
Moral panic.
Moral panic.
It was all moral panic. Yeah.
Garrett loves being on the network.
Bad feeling about this.
Here's Ant's book has just come out. We're very excited to share with you for the first time. The galley proofs are here. Create and Dominate by Mr. Ant Pruitt.
It's not quite ready for public
It's on the
consumption just
bookshelf
yet,
with
but
the Anarchy in the Academy.
it is in the works.
We've got some. We've got to find more for Burke to do. I think that's what this proves. That's what this proves. Oh, you know what? I played the wrong clip from AI Inside. I should have played the clip above on line 49. You gave me the wrong line number. That's what.
No, actually, no. That was the background.
You're right.
Okay.
You were right. You were right. I did not lead you astray. I would not do that. Was there any other story here?
What else you like? Oh, New York Times. I saw this.
Times. That's a good one.
Yeah, the New York Times is hiring a generative AI lead. Full-time job at the New York Times. They posted this a couple of days ago. The mission, blah, blah, blah. Here's the job description. Seeking a senior editor to lead the newsroom's efforts to ambitiously and responsibly make use of generative artificial intelligence.
Joe is having ChatGPT write his application right now.
I saw a good, in fact, I think I bookmarked it. Let me look at my bookmarks. A good response to this. Let me see if I can find it.
Technologists who are prototyping new capabilities and running experiments across the newsroom. Experiments for news.
Ina Fried wrote on Axios a response to this. The right newsroom jobs for the AI and the wrong ones. Her thought bubble. Good luck to the winning applicant to that New York Times job listing. Journalists, like many other professionals, are fearful and anxious about the new technology. This is not going to be an easy job. But she says, I'm generous. So here's a memo with helpful advice. Dear future robot wrangler. Many publishers have jumped right in to use generative AI for writing entire articles, a task technology is not yet ready to take on. Don't write whole articles. Far more interesting opportunities lie under the surface. Today's generative AI systems make mistakes, plagiarize, say inane or embarrassing things, and make stuff up. As Gizmodo and The Onion and MSN and Columbus Dispatch and GeoMedia and CNET have learned, with very spectacular, very public flops. Even if they get better at sticking to the facts, algorithms can't assess credibility. We know that. Today's technology often does a passable job summarizing an interview, but it has no idea if the interviewee is the foremost expert on a subject or someone who's in over their head or someone who's just making this crap up. There are some very limited writing tasks AI can be let loose on today. Corporate earnings stories. How hard could that be?
Yeah, that's just data.
That's just data. In fact, the LA Times has had a bot do this for years on earthquakes, giving them, what people wanted to know, that how big is the tremor, where was it centered, and so forth. The bigger newsroom opportunity, Ina writes, is to use AI for other parts of the reporting and writing process. She says, I've been using Otter AI to record and transcribe notes, and its AI chatbot lets me ask questions of my notes. I love that. That was what Notebook ML did too, right?
That's what, exactly, LM.
Yeah, LM. And I am constantly looking for other tasks it might assist with. I think AI will someday soon help me identify sources from my email, for example. I think maybe now Bard would be able to do that with your Gmail. AI can also be used to find patterns in vast amounts of data. Very good at that. True. Better maybe than humans, maybe not. An organization's own archives as well as large swaths of public information. A reporter might only have time to read through a handful or dozens of speeches. I'll give you an example. This inadvertent memo dump from Microsoft. Paul was trying to read through it before the show. That might be a perfect example of take all those documents, give it to an AI, say, summarize, and then more importantly, be able to ask it questions. What are Microsoft's plans for 2038, that kind of thing. Illustrations and some kinds of conceptual graphics, another area of promise for AI. We've seen that.
Yep.
Lots of people on Substack now using AI illustrations.
Everybody's using it for their thumbnails.
We use it. Why, I think an AI was used to generate Joan's book.
No, he's not an AI. He's an Esposito.
He's a real human. He's a real boy. Illustrations and some kinds of conceptual graphics are another area. Oh, I said that. Yes, but visual journalists have raised strong questions on, this is what we were just talking about, ethical and intellectual property related grounds about many of today's generative AI image systems. She says, experiment behind closed doors first.
Yes.
Be transparent. Let the audience know what you're up to and why. She says the LA Times actually is a good exemplar of how to do this with its QuakeBot.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
AI can help with the news business, but it also threatens it. Journalism has been slow to adapt other recent tech shifts and paid a heavy price, but that needn't be the case with AI.
So, Joan, in a faculty meeting at BU in the journalism department, how would you address this question to your colleagues who look at you and say, "Oh, she's the geeky person"?
I mean, this actually happened to me, not in a big faculty meeting, but in our first faculty retreat. And
you go on retreats?
Well, no, it's like they call it a retreat, but they just
it's really just a visit to Kelly's roast beef.
That would have been classy. This was, cold bagels. The university is not known for their, the niceness,
resorts.
The resorts. Yeah. But the issue for me with AI is ostensibly you have this new consumer technology coming out on the market. And if it is something that students want to use, right, we have to become smart enough to teach it, which is difficult because we don't know what's in it precisely, and we don't really know a ton of use cases for it other than plagiarizing. There's been this talk of AI being a good tutor for students, but I don't think that that's a responsible use case if it also knows that it will tell you the wrong information. I think, the best AI salesman is going to tell you that it's going to replace the library and the librarian for you. But it shouldn't, because librarians are professional knowledge professionals, and the library is a place where books are often culled and thought about the curation process. That's why I don't really love the AI argument, because it's like, hey, we got, it's like we got the biggest pizza in the world. It's got everything on it, literally everything. We've got, arsenic and toothpaste, and, it's going to be great. And, we forget that, like, these things are meant to replace what we already have in some respects, but they do a pretty mediocre job. And so, I've become a fan of saying this over and over, but truth is a human process. How we arrive at the truth is through methodology, and we need humans at every stage of that in order to validate what we know is true. And I just feel like AI in education is really setting students up to fail if they rely on it too much.
Based on these basic qualifications that they list here, New York Times lists here, I disagree with them with AI replacing anyone here. The basic qualification states deep journalistic experience with the ability to make sound judgments by journalistic quality and process, as well as standards and ethics. And then the second one that got my attention was technical curiosity and fluency, including understanding how large language models work and how to evaluate them in a journalistic context. That doesn't sound like they're just throwing it at the computer and hitting enter and just letting it spit out what it wants to spit out. They're at least going to try to go about this the right way. And it sounds like they're trying to leverage the power to be able to create even more if it speeds up the process a little bit.
Yeah, but there was a recent article that went out that was an AI generated obituary. Jeff, Leo, did you guys read about
we
this?
Talked about that.
Yep.
Yeah, and it called the man useless.
Yeah,
that's pretty rude. Doesn't mean it's not.
No, we didn't talk about it. I put it in our Slack.
Kind of thing an AI
and
would
they brought
say.
it down. I put it in our Slack, and they brought it down like 3 days ago.
Oh, so I can't refer to it.
Yeah.
Useless.
Yeah.
Another useless human bites the dust.
Where did it go? It was on MSN.com. Brandon Hunter, useless at 42 is the headline, but they've taken it down.
Once
since
you're dead,
then.
you are pretty useless, except for worms and butterflies.
They called him. He was an NBA player, and
That's terrible.
But what it was I believe he changed teams. He didn't die.
So he wasn't even dead?
Right.
Well, that's premature uselessness.
Well, that's an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Well,
not
clear-
up now. But
So
Sorry,
eventually
I
you
was
still
spreading
see the
misinformation. I really
time
thought
there.
it was an obit.
Well, it
That
was.
was
It wasn't.
it was it was an
It wasn't obit, but he wasn't dead
But
yet.
he wasn't dead.
Oh,
wasn't dead.
like
So
when
this
Tom
is
Petty
MSN
Soon
died.
enough, AGI will kill him.
MSN published that?
Yeah, this was up for a couple hours. There's the URL, but it's dead now. If you click on it, it's a dead link.
So,
now.
Joan, I've been saying for a long time that what's the outcome of all of this is going to be that you just won't believe anything you read, ever.
Same thing that happened with print, Leo. Exactly
That's
the same
what
thing
the
that happened with
Russians
print.
want.
Yeah, that's
You know?
flooding the
I'm
zone,
kidding,
right?
I'm kidding.
But I mean,
I'm just, it all goes back to Russia.
well,
I mean, you can live your life with a lot of doubt. You can doubt all kinds of things. But there are certain things that are factual and fact-based that you do have to confront from time to time. And, our entire information environment is changing. And I don't think we're doing enough to protect what we need to protect, which is, safety and clear, information about voting and our democratic processes. And I think we need to protect medical information. And so unfortunately, we're just getting into these really large scale problems because tech companies are pushing products on us that people aren't asking for.
it's
Number
not
one,
just
and-
their fault. Well, go ahead. I'll let you continue.
Well, no, go ahead.
I say it's not just their fault because we just read a job listing for the New York Times. Now, so, I mean, the answer to flooding the zone with garbage is to find trusted sources, whether online or offline, for information that you say, well, I read it here, so that's good. Now, obviously, MSN has now lost that mantle of trustworthiness.
Yep.
One would hope the New York Times would have a certain or of trustworthiness as the paper of record. But if they're going to start using AI, they're going to let that cruft drift into their content. That's a bad thing. I think what happens when there's a lot of disinformation and garbage out there is all of us then have to figure out where our trusted sources are. And then those trusted sources have a a deep responsibility to stay trusted and not use, poor sources. They have to do a good job. Isn't it on them?
You don't have any faith in them with trying to be trustworthy.
Well, I do, but I don't want to see
that they put in black and white.
I hate to see them saying, "Let's talk about AI generating content for us." That seems like the wrong direction.
Well, it's where news is going. I mean, the layoffs have been hard on many news organizations, and they're shrinking revenues related to advertising. So there is a very real crisis of high quality journalism. That's why you see billionaires buying up newspapers or I guess I should say news organizations.
Can we trust the Washington Post now because Jeff Bezos is a patron and is going to give it billions of dollars to run, and so it doesn't have to run?
It depends on how the organization's split up, but it does, who you're funded by does ostensibly affect the kinds of questions you ask. And we know this very clearly from Fox, is that you're not as hard on the businesses that your funders, are meddling in. And so with Bezos, maybe I would look twice at Amazon information in the Washington Post, and I'd wonder if the Washington Post reporter was holding back. And that's what I mean about having a kind of cautious skepticism about what it is that you're trusting, and look for multiple ways. If you have to act on that information, that's the other thing, is we spend most of our day getting information that we don't have any control over.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But on information that's going to make you get up and do something different, or, you have to think about, well, is this the right course of action? Or in most cases with online information, it's not about getting you to act, but it's disincentivizing you, getting you not to vote, getting you not to take a vaccine.
As a good example, voting's good and a vaccine's good. These are things where you are going to act based on information you collect. Vaccine's a great one. So then it's incumbent on every individual to get the best information possible. Every single journalistic entity, big journalistic entity, is owned by a mogul. That's always been that way. I mean, we're finally learning that, but NBC's owned by Comcast. It's Viacom owns CBS. ABC, well, it could be Disney, but it might be somebody else. We'll see down the road. But it's always somebody with vested interests and investments in other areas. And there's always going to be some skepticism. Maybe, and look, podcasts, we're having the same problem with funding drying up, but maybe it is blogs and podcasts and finding somebody who you really can trust. I don't know how you vet somebody. How do we learn to trust
the salary?
I'm going to go back to Gutenberg. Sorry, Ant, go ahead.
Look at the salary they're offering for this position. The annual base salary for this role is between $180K and $220K.
Well, this is Manhattan. That's basically a middle class.
No, that's still a decent salary.
Not in Manhattan.
And write prompts. And write prompts. And write prompts.
That's good money for prompt writing.
Yeah.
So, who did people trust in the pre-big mass media days, Jeff?
So that's my point, is that, I'm sorry, I'm going to go all the way back to Gutenberg. When print came out, nobody trusted it because it had no provenance. Anybody could make this pamphlet. Anybody can make a tweet. Anybody can make a Facebook post. Anybody can do this, right? And then we had to create the institutions of editing and publishing that brought authority to this. Before that, it was social. There's a concept that I write about in the next book called fama, which is about the social authority that adheres to the person telling the story itself, the subject of the story, and you if you pass it on. And the analysis was not around media; it was around social relationships.
Because that's all you had.
That's kind of where we are right now until we invent new institutions of authority.
Isn't that, though, the source of the great polarization in this country, is that at this point we use our confirmation bias to judge the information we're getting? And so we believe the stuff that conform it with our existing beliefs, and we don't believe the stuff that's not. And so we're
this is where
polarized.
The filter bubble stuff has been debunked. in great measure from research that says that our filter bubbles that exist are the ones in our real lives. The Big Sort by Bill Bishop said that we moved into the towns and took the jobs and joined the houses of worship and joined the bowling leagues where people like us. What the internet does is puncture that bubble and expose us to the people we haven't been exposed to. And that scares some people, and it gives us a whole bunch of spitballs. So no, actually the research, Joan can tell far better than I can, but the research that I've seen says that people online are exposed to more contrary opinions than those who are offline.
Yeah, but there's also so many mitigating issues here where we write about this in Meme Wars, the rabbit hole. When you start to get into something new online, the algorithms really try to pull you in deeper and deeper into that subset of information. And so if you're just like, and so it's different. It's really different than reading one article on something and then saying, maybe it's true. If you are bombarded with content that's saying to you that the government is lying and that the election was a scam and that they're coordinating across states to knock down all of these court cases that Rudy Giuliani's bringing. And I mean, this was 24-hour content barrage online if you were in that world, similar with the QAnon stuff, similar with the white supremacist fascist stuff. There's more garbage. And then once you get into that world, especially on YouTube, I know that they keep saying that they fix the algorithms, but I get so much anti-trans propaganda on YouTube. And even when you want to turn away from it, you can't. It'll keep recommending it. And so I don't know what the fix is here, but I do know that there is something qualitatively and quantitatively different about the amount of information and the kind of filter bubbles that might not be, partisan, but are definitely based on wedge issues that operate just the same way that you would find and discover Norwegian black metal bands. Oh, say hi to my cat.
Does she have a
it's the
suitable
same
black
way.
metal name?
No, that's just Milo.
Oh.
So I got two cats. I got Milo and Dottie, and they're my life.
Those are great names.
So,
that's a perfect name.
One's not called Thrasher.
Actually, my poor dearly departed Thrasher. I had a cat in my 20s named Thrasher that I loved dearly. He was a Scottish fold. So yes, there has been a Thrasher in my life. You're right.
Sorry, the cat broke our trail of train of thought.
Yeah, but all I was saying is that there's something fundamentally shifting about the way we sort and distribute and gain access to information, and the fleeting moments where we have these thoughts like, what is everybody talking about? Jewish space lasers. Let me look that up. And then you're stuck in it, right? And it's like quicksand in a way. The more you struggle to get out of it, the more content you're going to see in that way. And it's just an unfortunate situation that we've gotten ourselves into. Call it tabloid culture, whatever, but it is it's almost so enveloping that it's hard to imagine a way out once you're in it. And that's what I'm most afraid of for the 2024 election is that don't even get me started.
Did you just do that?
Don't get me started.
I just started searching for Jewish space lasers. I'm sorry.
No,
This is
Leo,
a fascinating
I should not be giving
subject.
you these. I will not be giving you any more rabbit holes to go down.
Oh my!
What I'm curious about is if I click a few of these, if
you're so screwed.
If YouTube is going to start encouraging me down this hole.
Well, it will. It'll say, "Oh, you like this? You watch this.
You've been on it
this
for
is
10
the next
seconds.
one."
You're in.
Yeah.
Though research has shown that people who go to the nutty stuff on YouTube frequently come from outside links. They come from Breitbart and places like that. It wasn't that YouTube took them down the rabbit hole. It's that YouTube is a storage place for the nutty links that people want to send you to.
Well, there's that, but also it does take you places. I mean, if you were to look at my YouTube you would be disgusted. I mean, my biggest fear about getting fired from Harvard wasn't that I get fired from Harvard for what happened, but that they'd look at my search history and be like, "You're an animal. You cannot work here." But a lot of it had to do with me letting my computer go on autoplay and allowing it to serve me the next thing. But when you're in these really vast and like cavernous rabbit holes, like quote unquote QAnon, it gets really overwhelming.
We're going to run out of time, so I hate to move on because this is a great subject, and I really would like to know what the antidote is. It doesn't. Is there an?
That's Joan's whole career.
Joan, give me the short version. What's the antidote?
I've always go back to the same thing that we were talking about earlier, which is, it's really hard to hoax a newspaper. Go back and find your trusted sources and stick with them. And with a newspaper, at least if they get it wrong and they're a reputable one, they're going to correct it the next day and you're going to get the correction. And so, rely less on social media to get your news and information and rely more on reporters that you admire and reporters that you trust, and purchase journalism as well. I think we are also in this moment where journalism needs to be directly funded and can't subsist off of advertising. And
that's what we're
and
learning.
It's crucial if you like that kind of media, if you want your media to care about the truth, if you want local media to exist, you have to, as a community member, consider it, kind of your social tax, I guess. And I think that the last thing I'll say on this is timely, accurate local knowledge. We need more talk online. We need our algorithms and our search boxes to surface more local content, especially when people are looking for news and information. Because everything that goes online is national, there's been this race to scale. And when you go on different news websites and you search for stories, they're likely to give you national publications first. We need to get search engines to reverse that and to work more on surfacing local news and local information.
Love that.
And I think that that's something AI could really help with, is saying, okay, we have all of this content. How do we prioritize the local when it matters?
Well, you have my pledge that we will, here at TWiT, endeavor in every case to be fair and accurate and give you the best possible information about technology. That's always been our mission here, and we don't have an axe to grind.
You're a human institution to do that.
We, and of course, every publication, every blog, every podcast has its own beliefs or slants, but I think we work really hard to find the truth and to I think it's so important that there be sources of trusted information, and we do everything we can. I think we have a really wonderful group of contributors and hosts and editors and producers who do the same. Which is why,
what did TALK stand for again, Joan?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
What did TALK stand for again? Trusted?
Timely, accurate, local knowledge.
Thank you.
Love it.
Real talk.
Real talk. Timely, accurate, local knowledge.
That's so cool.
In our case, the local is not geographic locality, but a common interest. Yeah. But I think it's very similar.
I think we've got to redefine local around that.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I mean, certainly everybody in Petaluma should care about what's going on in Petaluma, but we have a community of interest that is global, but is a fairly narrow niche of topics like this. And I don't know how many people are talking about this kind of stuff as often as we do. I mean, I think what we do is pretty important. I am sad to say, like every other outlet, the finance resources are drying up. I don't have a Craig Newmark grant, but Craig, if you want to, I wouldn't say no. But what we do have is you, our listeners. In fact, this is honestly, has always been my thought. Our favorite way to support what we do is to have the listeners support it. And that's why we created Club TWiT 2 years ago. It's only $7 a month, ad-free versions of all the shows, additional content. Our community manager, Aunt Pruitt's always putting together great events and ideas. Great stuff. Well, you got John Scalzi coming up. If you're a sci-fi fan, you'll enjoy that. Tomorrow, it's the AI Inside show. No, that's tomorrow. AI Inside.
Tomorrow.
Next week, Lou Maresca, Fireside Chat with John Scalzi is October 5th. Stacy's Book Club's coming up. Renee Ritchie will be back. Jeff, and Doc Searles will do the Old Farts Fireside Chat in December. That's going to be a lot of fun.
And not in here just yet, but October 26th, we're going to do an escape room.
I can't wait to do the escape room. That's going to be so much fun. We're going to do that. Our hosts are going to, we've got some sort of weird escape room game that we're going to try to solve in front of
I would be so bad at that.
You.
Oh, well, I just start screaming.
Get Jeff's in it. Just make sure Jeff's doing it. Anyway, I think that is an important part of what we do is getting you to help us out. If you can afford it, of course, $7 a month. We will always have ad-free. It's not a paywall. We'll always have ad-supported stuff as long as ads continue to support. For the rest of it, twit.tv/club. Twit, thank you for letting me put in that little plug.
Thank you, everybody.
But I think what we do, it's exactly that, is we're trying to do reliable, trustworthy content for this community of interest of ours. And that's what I've always tried to do.
Can I ask Joan a question?
Yeah.
On the news, so the UK just passed its
yesterday. It's
safety
law. Yep.
Bill, and they pulled back a little bit on encryption, but it's still a lot of danger to encryption there. What's your take on this, Joan, from your perspective of the bad guys doing bad things with some of these tools, but also privacy and one's individual rights?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really get my opinion from listening to Meredith Whittaker at Signal on this issue, which is you either have encryption or you don't.
Right.
There's no way around it. And so safety, I understand, is important, but we do have the right to privacy in our communications. One of the things that's always struck me as interesting about the field of media manipulation is, you don't need to drain the ocean to go fishing, right? Like the issue here is that it's meant to trick a large group of people or a small group of journalists. And in the case of encrypted communications, we're not talking about the effect of mass distribution of propaganda. We're talking about potentially terroristic cells that are using communications to get coordinated to do an attack. That would be like the penultimate use of this tech, removing encryption or creating these backdoors. But I just don't think that is really going to save lives. I think what we have to understand is that fundamentally we have a right to private communications. The government is made up of people. People are flawed, and we want to make sure that when we have access and power over other people, that they're not allowed to do things that dehumanize us, that remove our right to privacy. And I just hate to say it, but unfortunately, we need encryption in our lives, and we need high quality encryption that doesn't allow for these backdoors.
What about regulation in general? The UK saying we're going to be the safe place on the internet, and we're going to have age requirements for porn, and we're going to demand that the platforms take down harmful content and all that. Where you come down?
I mean, I don't know. I met an 11-year-old with an ATM card the other day, and my mind was
crazy, right?
Blown. So the thing that would have kept younger folks away from online porn would have been that some of it costs some money and you would need to use a credit card to validate your age. I just don't think it's possible. And I do know that, we have to confront these things, and the AI that is being used to figure out, parental controls around finding out if your child is looking at nudity and whatnot are getting better. But yeah, I just don't think there is a safe space for people online. I just think that part of it is, like you were saying, the human institutions, oversight, good parenting, friends that care about each other, that don't want our friends getting into trouble or getting it too deep into addictions, or it's a really complicated place online. And I think that children especially have no idea what they're stepping into. And so I applaud every effort at safety, but the realist in me knows that kids lie and they're good at it. And now they got credit cards.
Oh, and a liar with a credit card is your worst nightmare.
Wow, scary.
A horny liar with a credit card.
Exactly.
Meredith Whitaker is in flight, so she hasn't yet commented on the passage of the online safety bill in the UK. But she has reiterated that, A, she doesn't think it's a good idea, and that Signal will never, if the choice came down to being forced to build a back door or leaving, we would leave England.
Oh, good.
She has said, and I think we talked about this yesterday on Security Now, that she believes that the compromise language in the bill means they don't have to leave the UK. But of course, time will tell whether it's not exactly, it merely adds a line, something like if it's technologically feasible to break the encryption. We shall see what the English Parliament does with all of that, and the English law enforcement does with all of that. So
It's
I haven't.
It'll be up to the regulator, Ofcom.
It's going to be up to Ofcom.
But that's where also Wikimedia is begging for help here because they fear that they might have to leave as well.
Yeah. So we'll keep watching that. It's not clear exactly whether there was a victory in England for the forces of good or the forces of evil. The war continues. Moving on to something a little lighter, a couple of Google items. It's, I guess, time for the Google changelog.
Wait, before you.
Uh-oh.
Coming.
Oh, no. Watch
I
out.
have someone at my door.
Go answer the door.
This is the
Go,
perfect
Joan.
time to go. 'cause
Yeah.
he'll be doing
Perfect
your
time
thing,
to go
and then you
because
come back.
nothing is
Okay, I don't
important.
know if I can come
If
back.
you can't
though,
come
is the
back,
thing.
we'll just wave your book
Yeah.
and say thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
See you,
I
Joan. It's
appreciate
great
it.
to have
Joan.
See you in a
you.
bit.
And
You're
congratulations
Mazel
on the
on
BU
BU.
appointment.
Have
That's
me back
fantastic.
anytime.
We love you.
I
We'll have you
appreciate
back
it.
soon. Just go.
Thank you.
Go be.
Thank you.
Go say hello.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
sure it's the roast beef.
The roast beef
I
sandwich
wish.
is waiting.
No, it's a professor from Harvard, so it'll be what it
In
is.
your new book, Anarchy in Academia.
Yeah. Not yet. Save it for me.
Can somebody behind the scenes email it to Joan so she can show it to
I've already
whoever's-
sent it.
Yeah, I
I've
want
already
to see
sent
it.
her the
Yeah,
copies.
it's so good.
Oh, perfect.
Thank
I've already
you.
emailed it.
Thanks, Joan. It's
Appreciate
great
it.
to see you.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Always a pleasure.
Taylor Swift broke Google this morning.
Oh, boy.
So yesterday, Google decided, it'll be fun to have a little contest with the 1989 Taylor's version. They had a little game. Calling all Swifties loves a game. So is our latest Easter egg in search. Want to play? Search for Taylor Swift. Click on the blue vault and solve one of the word puzzles. There are 89 of them. Get it? And you'll be helping Swifties around the world get out of the woods or unlock the vault as everyone collectively solves 33 million puzzles. Well, they did it this morning, and it immediately broke the internet. Taylor Swift's fans, I guess, there are legion, and they were able to bring the whole thing to its knees. Fans were frustrated they couldn't participate or were upset at the large number of puzzle completions required when the game wasn't working properly. One user tweeted, "I feel like Taylor constantly forgets how big she is." 33 million is a lot when you take into account the vault not working. Google actually posted late yesterday this response: Swifties, the vault is jammed. They're working to fix it. So
wow,
a promotion. As this happens again and again with Taylor Swift, that people it's hard to imagine the impact she has, and it just brings everything. Even
She's
Google,
kind of the last of the big old
Of the
mass media
superstars.
blockbuster economy.
I don't know.
Good
Is
on
she?
her.
Well, we'll see.
Good on her.
We'll see.
Next one's a robot.
Yeah. Next one will be Iduro. Google's rolling out Android 14 QPR Beta 1 for the Pixel. We're getting close. Google's event is when? October 4th. Jason Howell and Wintu Dao will host our coverage of that event. 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Have at it, Mr. Howell.
We'll see everything there is to know about the Pixel 7 and Android 14. Lifehacker points out you could finally offer bookable appointments on your Google Calendar. Sorry, Calendly. It's available on free accounts.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, bookable blocks. So Lisa uses Calendly. She does a lot of meetings.
We use it for our tech checks.
Yeah.
Works
there you
well.
go. Yeah.
Works well.
Needed a way to say, when you're available, here's where we're available, and work that all out. You can now do the exact same thing in Google Calendar, and even for paid appointments. So a Calendly killer from Google. Nest devices are now limited to one Google Home speaker group. I don't even know what this means, but I thought I'd tell you. Congratulations. Is that good or bad? I think it's bad. Google Domains is done. They're donezo. They're cooked. Remember, they sold the business to Squarespace, and as of now, no new domains.
They haven't transferred them yet, though, right?
Oh, that's interesting. They stopped selling domains September 7th. But then... yeah, I don't know if they transferred them. The Squarespace acquisition was completed September 7th.
According to CJ and IRC, yes, they were transferred.
They were transferred. Okay. It is almost, by the way, the end of the line for Taylor Swift's puzzle. So I guess if you care, go to google.com, enter Taylor Swift. Shall we do it?
Oh, let's do it.
Taylor Swift. And then there's a vault. Did you see that come down from the sky? Yeah. And there's a key. Click the vault.
And your computer.
Oh, look,
crashed.
you did it. You unlocked the vault. Now what? So excited to share the new vault track titles with you. They are, Is It Over Now? Now That We Don't Talk? Say Don't Go. I guess it's over because they're revealing these. So this is so dumb.
Yeah.
Did Taylor pay for this?
I doubt it.
That's a good question. Why would she?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this Google stretch it saying, hey, kids, look, we're still cool. Come on, kids.
Sad. And that's the Google changelog. Well, boys and girls, let's take a little break. When we come back, your picks of the week as we wrap up This Week in Google for this week. Jones disappeared.
And reappeared as Jeff Jarvis.
Joan turned into Jeff Jarvis.
One professor for another, we're interchangeable.
Jeff, you want to kick the picks?
I'm kick it off? Oh, geez.
Yeah, why not? We don't have Joan to do it, so you can do it.
Oh, all right. What did I have here? I want to do a quick congratulations to Fidji Simo, the CEO for the last 2 years of Instacart. Had a IPO, went very well. I think she's done a really good job of making Instacart more than just a delivery service. And I'm grateful to Instacart because it allowed me to keep my father in groceries when he was in Florida.
Oh, that's nice.
Cool.
Oh, that's nice.
And but now it's an advertising company too, and all that. I think that's wonderful. Radio Times magazine is 100 years old, which is to say that radio, popularly BBC, is 100 years old.
Was Radio Times like the TV guide for radio in the UK?
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, it's here too.
It was also then TV.
Yeah. Wow. Now what is it?
It's just old.
It's just old. Okay.
It's just old.
All right. 100
And
years.
then SpaceX was supposed to have 20 million Starlink users by 2022.
Nope.
Not so much.
How about 1 million?
1 million.
It's still, I mean, let's point out a multi-billion-dollar business. It's not like they just didn't.
Not as many multis as he thought he was going to have.
Yeah. And that's important because he was going to use that to fund SpaceX development and so forth. So, not good. Mr. Ant Pruitt, you have a pick for us?
My pick, I couldn't remember if I did this or not, but I'm put it in here anyway because it's top of mind.
You did not.
And it is a super fast USB-C to USB-C cable.
I can use this on my new 10 gigabit per second iPhone.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I particularly use it for recording 6K, 60 frames a second footage, and it's just so
what do you
freaking
so that's one of the things the new iPhone will do is you plug in this cable and then you plug the other end to a hard drive.
To a disc.
And
right.
it will automatically record 4K 60 frame
Right.
ProRes to the disc. So this would be the cable you would use.
ProRes is so great too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that cable is
What do you hook
it's
up to?
inexpensive. It's like $15 and it's got a lifetime warranty
it's
because
blue.
it's from Condor Blue. And I'm figuring for $15 you can't really beat that. I have a couple of them. I don't know why I have a couple of them, but they're lifetime warranty, so I shouldn't have to sweat it.
And what do you hook up when you record? What do you hook up to?
Mine is hooked to a Samsung T5 SSD.
Oh, yeah, one of those little SSDs.
I think we use some up here.
Is that fast enough to record
Oh, yeah.
4K video? Nice.
Yeah, I do B-RAW 6K, 60 frames a second.
Oh, nice.
With no problem on there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I can now use my iPhone
That's crazy.
to record 4K 60 frame video to a little external hard
Yeah.
drive.
And I have other USB cables, but yeah, it definitely makes a difference if they can't handle that bandwidth.
I have
that's coming through.
a hole in my heart where my iPhone used to be.
Oh, gosh, that looks weird.
But someday there will be a new phone.
A new phone that'll look similar.
As I said, I mean, it was kind of an impulsive decision to give my sister the old iPhone. And then I realized, what the hell am I going to do? My whole life
took
is
the SIM
in
out, or do you use SIMs?
No,
now,
I
or
didn't
do
even
you
use a SIM.
virtuals?
She had a SIM in her old phone. She had a 10S, 10R, and
nice.
but with
That's
the
the
iPhone, you put it
old
side by
school.
side. You say, "Here's your new phone. Here's the old phone," and then it says, "Oh,
that's so cool.
You have a SIM in the old phone, but I use eSIMs. Shall I just transfer the number over?" And it was done. And it said, "Throw out the old SIM because you don't need it anymore."
So dadgum cool.
Welcome
So
to the
cool.
21st century, kids. Soon, did you hear we're going to have flying cars?
I'm not buying that. I'm
Queen
not
Pruitt will
buying
be
that.
flying along. I ain't giving you my
ain't
flight
want-
plan.
Ant's on the ground with his fist in the air. He's the angry cartoon guy
Yeah, right now.
yelling
I
at
am.
the air.
You're not getting my flight plan. No.
That no time soon. Just no. My last one, I want to give a shout out to my
Jacob.
sons. It was quite a magical night last week. They're on a bye week this week, but in the first half, he just
He's
played
the QB.
the best game that I've
Look at that pass.
ever seen.
Dropped it right in the basket.
His career, and I caught myself sort of losing it here and there because that week in practice, I felt
He can
bad
rush.
for him.
He can pass.
Did you see him look back right there?
Yeah, he says, "Is there anybody? There's nobody. I'm just gonna try."
Get out of the way,
him."
ref. Get out of the way.
That
Nobody.
week in practice,
Comes a hard head.
he was not doing very well. He couldn't hit the right side of a barn in practice throwing the ball. It was really, really bad, and I felt bad for him. But I told him, we'll just keep pushing. And this, well, not that play, but it was a play before that. You could see that the emotion hit him as he scored, and he was just jumping.
Oh,
He was just
got bad
jumping.
hit there. Is he okay?
But look at that. That's a bomb.
He just dropped it right in there. You can pay if you could throw long like that.
and then you see that guy in the orange right there?
Colleges take this
You
guy.
need
and
this
give him
guy.
a lot of
SMU,
scholarship money.
Clemson,
It was
Texas A&M. You
so
need this guy.
ridiculous. I felt great for
Roll
him.
Tide.
I was happy for him. Oh, I'll take Roll
War
Tide.
Eagle.
No, maybe not War Eagle, but
Okay.
Roll Tide.
He
But
has his limits,
I just had to
What
give
do you
him
got
his
against
credit.
Auburn?
Man. No, nothing against Auburn.
don't want him to-
We call Auburn the Clemson of Alabama.
My brother-in-law went to Harvard, called Yale the best school in New Haven. So I know how that feels.
Oh gosh, he played. He had 8 for 11 passing, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 13 rushes for 195 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that was in the first half.
Wow.
And he sat
That's
out in
your
the second
weekly
half.
Jacob Pruitt
And
report
I just
on the
work,
sports
Harvey.
leader.
I had to give him his credit.
TALK. Nice. That's awesome.
Beautiful. That's amazing.
Way to go,
What a great-
Jacob.
So yes,
He's a
UC
senior.
Berkeley, y'all can give us a call too.
Yeah,
Come on, UC
Berkeley,
Berkeley.
Cal
'Cause
be
he's
good.
interested.
Stanford,
He's interested in that too.
Stanford, let them fight over the
President of
axe.
State. Yes, we're interested in that too. So give us a call.
It's going to take a full ride. I got to warn you.
The IRC is chanting.
We don't pay Ant, so he's got to get a full ride.
Nope.
All he
TWiT
gets
does
is coffee.
pay me, and I am quite happy that TWiT pays me. I live a good life. Thank you.
We love you, Ant. Are you kidding? We love you.
We all do.
We love you too, Jeff Jarvis.
No, nobody likes me.
Everybody likes you.
No, he's
You're
right.
stuck
Most
with
people
me.
don't.
That's it.
Soon to be the former director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. I haven't had a chance to talk to you since your Medium post about moving on, but you're happy about it.
Yeah, thank you for doing it on the show when I wasn't there that week.
You were the news story of the week.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But you're happy about that, and you got some irons in the fire?
No, but that's life.
Oh.
That's life.
Emeritus has a certain ring to it. When you go to the old age home, they're gonna
which could be sooner than we know.
I know.
We're moving in next to Mary Laporte.
Yeah, when we bring Mom over there, I'm looking around, I'm going, she's only 23 years older than me. I could be there any minute now. And in fact, she said, why don't you should come here.
That reality set in, man. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I think my mother had me when she was 18, I think. So
when you see as they get older, you
man.
realize you're just right behind them.
Yeah. Wow.
Right
It's
behind
not far. But that's
all
okay.
right.
I'll be ready.
I'm ready now. I want one of them real rascal scooters.
give me
I'll
a
drive
rascal.
around. I'll be so happy.
Give me a highball.
A highball and a rascal. That's all I need.
Knocking on Mrs. Laporte's door. You have a little extra bourbon there.
Yeah, more bourbon.
That one with a handle. Is still any left in there? Jeff is not retiring from TWiT, right?
No.
No.
You
Somebody's
cannot get
asking.
rid of me that easily. Unless you force me out, which you can do.
I'm not going to force you out. I will not be here next week. I'm sorry. Jason Howell will take over the reins. Once again. Thank you, Jason.
He does a good job.
We're going to Green Bay for a Packers game.
Go, Pack, go.
Oh, my God. I actually can't wait. Well,
Cheese.
Vince Lombardi
Lots of
Stadium
cheese.
is historic. Mm-hmm. It is also owned by the city of Green Bay, as is the team.
Yep.
And it's the only NFL team and stadium that are owned by the people.
All have
which
shares.
in fact, our son has a share. I bought him one for Christmas a couple of years ago. He got a bumper sticker that says, owner.
That's right. That's awesome. That's right.
He loves it. We all got jerseys to celebrate. Green Bay jerseys. It's going to be fun. I've always wanted to go. And Lisa got us a stadium tour. We get to come out of the tunnel onto the field.
Great.
I cannot wait for that. That's going to be so
So
much.
what's the food you have to have when you're there?
Brats. We're having a tailgate.
Brats? Okay.
We're having a tailgate.
And fried cheese curds.
Really? I'll do that.
Fried cheese curds.
I'll do
for
that.
the win, sir.
Yeah.
You'll thank me
You put
later.
gravy on it, or
You won't need the gravy.
it's not poutine. It's just
no.
fried cheese curds.
Fried
Okay.
cheese curds.
I like cottage cheese, which is unfried cheese.
You can
curds.
see yourself out now.
You and Richard Nixon.
This week in Horse Impressions, starring Jason Howell. It's going to be a great show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do Twig on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. We will have yet another wonderful guest next week, filling in for Stacy. But we are homing in on a permanent replacement. No, not going to say anything.
I'd be curious myself to know what you're thinking.
I'll tell you offline because it's not official
I'll
yet.
tell you offline and off mic because people like the.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, those eavesdroppers. But we think I've suggested somebody. We think that person is interested. They have to get permission from their publication. Pending that, we may have some news in a few weeks because I know it's this important show for us. We really want to make sure we've got a full cast. But it has been great to have people like Joan and Kathy.
It's pretty wonderful.
It is in some ways.
Fleischman.
I like it. Glenn is great. Mike Elgin's great. So we have, and it used to be, Jeff, you'd travel a lot. Can I get you back on the road a little bit? Because
hey, go ahead. Just force me out then.
I didn't say, Mr.
You old
Jarvis.
fart. Get out of here.
I did not say that, Mr.
Jeff,
Jarvis.
there would be no show without you. So it is absolutely.
Indeed.
Jeff. It used to be the Jeff, Stacy, and Ant show. We're going to have somebody equally worthy in a couple of weeks, I think. But I will leave that for your imagination. Thank you for being here. Get the show if you want. You can watch it live.twit.tv, or listen live. But after the fact, of course, it's a podcast, so you could subscribe in your favorite podcast player. You can manually download an episode, audio or video, from the website, twit.tv/twig. If you can get through the Jewish space laser videos, we're also on YouTube. Actually, you watch more Twig, you get fewer space laser videos. That's a little tip for you. There's a dedicated channel for This Week in Google. And of course, subscribing is the best thing you can do. Join the club, and then you won't even hear any ads.
This is true.
That's good. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye. See ya.
Hey, we should talk Linux. It's the operating system that runs the internet, but your game consoles, cell phones, and maybe even the machine on your desk. But you already knew all that. What you may not know is that TWiT now has a show dedicated to it, the Untitled Linux Show. Whether you're a Linux pro, a burgeoning sysadmin, or just curious what the big deal is, you should join us on the Club TWiT Discord every Saturday afternoon for news, analysis, and tips to sharpen your Linux skills. And then make sure you subscribe to the Club TWiT exclusive Untitled Linux Show. Wait, you're not a Club TWiT member yet? Well, go to twit.tv/clubtwit and sign up. Hope to see you there.